Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 193 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by the San Diego local, Lord Cognito. How are you today, good sir?
Doing good, man. We're in the realm of the Dukes. Put the Dukes up. That's what they want us to say.
Yeah, Jordan Faldudo wrote in about that, in fact, saying we get a famous Cog, put your Dukes up. So there we go. Request answered.
Put them things up. You know what it is, Dukes, man. Good, man. Back from the live show. Time zoned and jet lagged. But yeah, man. Oh, bro. It for some reason, it really hit me this time. Like, it took me about 2 days to get right. And then yo, shout out to United Airlines, because I have to say this. Like, this is like the second time I've left something on a plane.
Oh, man.
One time I left my Switch at TSA. So you know, you like, all right, you got to take the L. That's gone. Somebody having fun with your jet. You know it, right? So you call the airport. So I've had, this is both situations. TSA was one, and they were like, nope, describe the item. Took about a day, got a call. Yep, we got it. Wow. This was like 2 years ago. I'm like, wow, I got my Switch back. Crazy, right? Second, this is now on the plane. I never lost something on the plane. So you know how, like, you got the sleeve in front with the jacket and the thing. So I think I put my phone in there, and I put the don't laugh, the iPod/iTouch. I still utilize it.
Oh yeah. Wait. I just thought of something. With your Switch, because you're saying this, you're specifying now is on the airplane. Was the Switch just in the airport? All
right. Yeah, the Switch is, you know how TSA you bring your stuff through. So I had the Switch in the case. I got the Zelda case inside the book bag. They put the book bag through the screener, pull it to the side, and then they take the Switch out, right?
Yep.
So I didn't realize that. So my behind, I get my bag now. I'm like, I'm off to the races.
Yep.
It's not until I get home, I'm like, yo, where's my Switch? I know I ain't leave it in the hotel. Because you remember, I'm like, yo, they must have took it out.
Yeah,
and I didn't go back and check.
I was thinking, because like it was probably like the reason you probably got it back, I thought, is like you left it in the airport somewhere, like at a desk, and they're probably like thinking it was, you thought it was that.
That's over.
They were like, yo, what is this doing here? Like,
that's a free come up. Yeah, you leave it like that, you're done.
Yeah,
this is thankfully right through TSA, the security checkpoint. So and what I realized, like, well, there's cameras every year, so if you steal it, there, you was just a slimy TSA agent. You know you getting it. So I was confident in that one. But this one I was not as confident, because again, I got my music, I listen to a lot of my audio podcasts and stuff like that on the iTouch for this reason, because you got no internet. And I usually pre-download the stuff. So anyway, long story short, you call the airline when that happens, as opposed to the airport. And then United hit me. They were like, yeah, you still use one of these things? They was like, as long as you can describe it, and you can do the PIN code. So I was like, yo, my man, it got harangue from Tekken 8 as a screensaver on the thing. And I was like, I know the code. And then I got, and I even took a picture of the back. I gave them all descriptions.
Yeah, you were making sure you were getting that back.
Oh, I'm getting that back. Yeah, I'm not, because I heard the hustle, though. If you don't have by 30 days, if you don't, because I heard they be scheming. They be like day 28.
Or you have to drive out and like go pick it up.
Yeah, you got to go to they give you the option. They say that you want them to ship it to you, or you go that same day. I was like, nah, I'll just drive back to the airport.
Oh, you're crazy, bro. Driving back to the airport?
You go see me, and you go give me back what's mine.
Okay. You are not taking any chances.
I ain't taking no chances, bro. Okay. I don't trust. So yeah, that was it. So that was my week.
Nice.
What's been going on with you?
Yeah, we had the San Diego show. We actually had a write-in here from Daniel J. Says, greetings, Dukes. I want to give a quick shout out to you guys and the LSM fan for an amazing show in San Diego last Friday. You two had a really great stage presence together with Hogue as well as the Sacred Crew. It was really awesome to meet and talk to you guys. Not sure if you remember, because there were so many people at the meet and greet, but I was the guy wearing the Juness t-shirt. I actually think I pointed to you and said that I liked your shirt. So I do remember you. I've been to many concerts at the Observatory, but this event took the cake. Thank you all for a very fun and memorable night. Keep up the great work, guys, and have a Team Sacred may have won both games, but the Dukes won in spirit kind of day. And yeah, we had some chats afterwards. So whoever's fucking keeping score did a horrible job. I think it was Ben. Ben left us out to dry. I know for a fact that there's no way Jeopardy that we lost. There's no way.
I agree.
No way. We suddenly went from like 1,300 points to 100 the next term. Like,
yeah,
what happened?
Dominating them in what you call it.
We got like 4 questions in a row, and suddenly we were losing the next answer. I'm like, that's bullshit. I was like, there's no way.
I'm gonna push back on Family Feud.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push back on that too. But hey, look, it is what it is. But I'll tell you this: one of my favorite moments was like, there was a part where Hogue is on fire in the beginning, right? Hogue was doing the hard carry in the beginning, right?
He was.
So we was cooking, and it was just these moments where I was like, yo, he was killing it. And you started getting on fire. We all had our moments of on fire.
Yeah.
And I just love those. Like, you know what I liked when we did? We used to do our little team. All right, so what you
we would link up and discuss
and we're like, all right, and Dukes, how? It was like a huddle play. Like, I love that. And then for me, we talked earlier, it's just that there's nothing better to me than the fans coming through, right? Yeah. And the love with everyone coming through to get a picture with all of LSM, right, was amazing. And then I got to put names to face. There's so many people. If I don't shout you out now, it was so many people that show so much love. But the thing that really hit is there was a moment during the intermission. Mm-hmm. And normally, I don't know what made me just look at the crowd still and say, nah, I want to stay and talk. And then
you were so bad, but I was like, I'm going to go hang with them.
And I was that's funny.
Remember, right before the intermission ended, I went to Ben. I was like, do I have time to pee? He was like, you got a minute. I sprinted backstage to go.
Pew!
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro. And there's so many people, man. Shout out to my man. One people, Hustle and Motivate. My man,
it was awesome
meeting Mace. You know what I'm saying? 49ers Hive, I see you. Obviously, Astro Parrot. There was so many people that just came through and showed love. And it was genuine, man. You really felt it. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank the LSM fam and the Realm of Dukes. That was probably some of the highlights. So shout out to my man, Benjamin. You know what I'm saying? I can't pronounce your last. I think it's Amaru. But he pulled up so many people after the event, before. Love that part. We have one of the best communities, and it's by far, in my opinion.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that part too. That was my favorite part, was just in between Jeopardy and Family Feud, kind of sitting with the audience and just like kind of giving a second meet and greet opportunity. There were some people who kind of had this, I think we timed things out not that great with the VIP meet and greet. And so some people got to swing back around and just talk a little bit more. And we got through most of them, took a little bit of extra pictures. The community's always been super sweet, but what really kind of took me back was when, the last live show I went to was our first one in Butler. And I because of my health issues, I wasn't able to go to any of these. And so a lot of people were like, hey, it's really good to see you here. And I was like, very surprised by that kind of word choice. And then the other thing was like, how are you doing after your flight? And I was like, damn, they like remembered to the fucking T what I was dealing with, like, balance wise, and how I said it would affect me and the nerves kind of that sort of travel. And that really warmed my heart. That's why it was like my favorite part. I was like, wow, like there's, listening and just enjoying a Xbox show or a gaming show really at this point. And there's getting in tune with us as people. And, I apologize for forgetting the gentleman's name, but we got to, Broderick. We got to meet him who spoke about his recovery.
Yes.
And we got to shake hands with him. That was really cool. We got to meet a lot of the Health is Wealth crew, really.
Yes.
And that was awesome. Lots of pictures taken though, lots of kind words exchanged. It was really, you always walk away feeling really good about it because we don't get the opportunity to meet our audience across everything that often. And I always find it interesting because I do so many things, like what people want to talk to me about. Because like when I was at PAX, I got stopped a ton for Retro Rebound. I didn't get stopped at all for being Mr. Matty. Everyone's like, oh, you're Retro Rebound. That was like really weird for me because I was like, oh wow, like this thing is so big that no one knows me for everyone calls me Mr. Matty. So it was really interesting to not be that. But then at that show to get like a mix of like, hey, I watch all your Matty videos. They're like, dude, I found you through Retro Rebound and I'm here because of that channel. I'm like, damn, that's awesome.
That's
so
huge, bro.
It's a really cool feeling. Not in like an ego stroke way, just again to kind of connect with those individuals. Talk about games, talk about life, just even if it's brief. You and I were going out to eat afterwards and we saw a bunch of the LSM crew like a nearby bar. We So when we were walking to a place to eat, and just it was really interesting, just continuously bumping into people from the show and them just sharing kind words and being respectful. It was awesome. So yeah, we appreciate everyone who came out, and I just want to especially thank everyone who just kept my health in mind. I just wanted to say everything's all good. No, after effects. I mean, we already knew with LA, that was, I guess, if you will, I knew I was going to go to the San Diego show. Like, even if I had some sort of negative impact, I committed to it and I did not want to let anyone down. But the LA trip with the Xbox Gamescom LA event was like the first test. Like, how do I do with this real back and forth? Came out of it a little like, all right, like flight still takes a lot out of me, but like I feel good. Otherwise, no balance issues. And then this trip, I mean, dude, I can actually say it. I didn't know during the live show I could say it, but I did go to San Francisco to play Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And so I went out there first, and then I went to San Diego, and then I went home. So I had like 3 flights while I was out there. And that's the most intense flying I've ever done. And I came out of it squeaky clean. So yeah, I'm really happy to say that, because that means, future events are not off the table for me. I can travel more for my work, create more opportunities for myself. So very relieved in that regard. But just again, wanted to thank those who showed up and just expressed any concern for me. It was really sweet. And, just thank you for loving the Dukes, even though we were seemingly the underdogs. I don't know, man. Our line was pretty fucking long, though, when it was intermission time. I think
we had a little turnout.
Everyone was there. I've never been a part of the away team. Like, that was an interesting environment. So for those who don't know, you'll see it on whenever we drop this thing, that who's here for Sacred? Loud cheer.
Oh, crazy.
I'm like, this is a sweet audience. Like, I'm like expecting the same energy for the Dukes. Who here's for the Dukes? Oh, bro, fucking crickets. I was like, wow. I was like, there's really a kind of, we want Sacred to win. I'm like, all right, the fix is in.
I literally said, I said, we the away team, y'all.
Yeah. I was a little surprised by that. I was like, the energy is real here.
That was fun. I just want to, first of all, good point on your health, because I even forgot. It took me a while. I'm like, wait a minute, yo, bro, this is one of his first major trips. And, to our LSM event in a long time, because of all the medical things that you're going through. So, and it was cool to see people ask you that. 3 shout outs I do have to say. I forgot really quick. Return to the Chad. Salute to you, brother. Yo, hook me up with, he's like, yo, I know you're a Destiny guy, and I had this, it was like a D2, these kind of like patches for all the classes. So dope. Salute to him. Salute to Subeg, lordsofgaming.net, one of my writers, pulled up.
Was he the one who was reviewing a certain game?
Yeah, certain game. And then after we saw at the bar joint, you know what I mean? And it was just so many people that
he was so excited. I just want to throw that out there. He was, number one, shout out to you. I've never met a person more grateful for the opportunity you created for someone than that gentleman right there. He was so excited about LogNet. I was like, are you trying to like springboard for me? He's like, no, I'm in on LogNet. Like, I want to be here, man. Like, he was all in. Like, you got a good one there. He was awesome.
Yeah, bro. Subeg's awesome, man. Again, and shout out my man from the I forget his name now. He's in the Duke Discord, and he, like, I guess before I came there, he was known for the big arm dude.
Oh yeah.
So like he like, yo, Cog, man, you got to give me some tips. You know what I'm saying? What you do? So we out here breaking arm day tips down. Like, this is what you got to do. Super dated or whatever. D class go. So I'm giving him game, but it was so dope to actually put name to face on all these people that you talk to and stuff like that. So yes, it was super dope, man. I really it's a blessing, you know what I'm saying, to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome. So thank you everyone for coming out. We don't have any information right now on like when the video version goes out to patrons and when it goes out on public feeds. That's usually handled by typically Dustin, but now Ben. And so there will be answers at some point. I'll leave it in Colin's hands, really. But thank you to those who showed up and really made the interaction special. We appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely.
We had one other write-in here. Nick Believe It writes, correction. Maddie said he hasn't run into Game Mill Entertainment this year, but he did. And this is true because it's one of the worst games of the year. As they were publishers of TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants. Having Maddie absolutely did report / leak some version / remake of Trails in the Sky being localized, so stop giving the direct the credit, and I don't care how loudly you scream Mandela effect kind of day. Yeah, I noticed on the LSM Reddit, there was like a little debate of like, Maddie called it, or Maddie leaked it, or Maddie reported it. I'll just to write the record, I appreciate the belief in me, Nick, but I did not have any inside sourcing. I just really pay close attention to what Falcom says, and they were pretty clear about it. But there were signs, for years leading into the project, like just based on stuff that I don't want to spoil, but stuff they would include or characters or places they would include in their games out of nowhere. It was just like this company reuses assets like it's nobody's business. So it was pretty obvious it was happening. But I appreciate that you want to give me my flowers, because you know what, man? I talked a bit about what the hell was I right about? There was something I was right about that I had to like raise a flag to the audience and be like, this would have been a Maddie was right moment.
Yes.
You know, and so we gotta do better in that regard, don't we? We gotta stroke the ego a little bit.
Make us feel better about ourselves.
But this is unfortunately true. I haven't encountered a Game Mill product this year, and it is one of the worst games of the year. So thank you, Nick, for the reintroduction to trauma. I appreciate it. And with that, Cog, I want to get into our first topic of the show. This one, all you, dude. Leaked Shinobi gameplay. This is where the name comes from, y'all. This is where the name comes from. So let's hear it, Cog. What are we thinking about this Shinobi, this new introduction to this series? Gameplay leaked. It's about a minute. I was so surprised. You were getting into the intricacies of like particular movements with certain games and attacks from others. So let's hear it all, man. This is your moment.
So this is my biggest, I'm going to say fear, but out of the super game that Sega was doing, and we know is now the revitalization of all these Sega classics, right? You get your Jet Set, there's a lot of people watch Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, I'm very curious. Shinobi, I am so ridiculous. I don't know. I guess it would be the equivalent of you with like a KOTOR remake, right? Or, like there's certain games that I'm going to pay attention to every fine detail and see where you go with it. And I didn't get too much from it until now this leak happened, right? And this leak looks official. For those who don't know, it showed about a minute of gameplay. And the first thing I noticed, he's in the gray traditional outfit, which is kind of from the home versions from Revenge Shinobi. So they're going for the Revenge Shinobi feel, which is arguably the GOAT Shinobi game for the kind of consoles. That is the game that has the best bosses. You have Batman, Spider-Man in it. The music was amazing by Yuzo Koshiro, and it debuted the limited shurikens, multiple endings, that kind of stuff. That's a classic. However, if my true Shinobi fans know this, some may say Revenge Shinobi is the GOAT, but Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master, is the actual better game from a gameplay perspective. He has traversal. He can, stick on walls. He can run. He can do slides. So what's cool about this gameplay that we saw, it's like a mix of both games. The classic look and feel of Revenge Shinobi, but the actual intricacies, moveset, and then they went with this amazing cel-shaded style, which I didn't think I needed. So if this is true, if this leak is to be believed, and it looked official because it looked like about a minute or so of gameplay, and I'm messaging you, I'm like, Maddie, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
Throw me in tears. They may nail this thing. Because Shinobi is it means so many things to so many different people depending on where you came in on the franchise, right? I'm there from the very beginning. I remember the arcade, which is probably my favorite, but it's completely different from the console versions. But the console versions are GOATs in itself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, if they pull this off, this would be a love letter to Shinobi fans. And I'm just hoping they knock this thing out. The last thing I will say is, obviously, we better have our Ninja Magic. Ninja Magic is a huge part of the Shinobi franchise. And being able to use that for different situations like Revenge Shinobi did. And yeah, I want that classic feel. So, and good, obviously good platforming, good action, that kind of stuff. But if this is true, so far, so good. You got my attention, please. Oh, and you better have Yuzo Koshiro come back for at least one of the music tracks, because he did the iconic introduction to Revenge of Shinobi in the game. And that music is amazing. He's the guy that does the Streets of Rage music. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, I was really into what I was seeing as well. Very stylish. I was kind of taken aback by what you just mentioned about a Spider-Man and Batman boss fight. And so I did look it up, and that is a thing. How did that happen?
Bro, Sega was wilding back in the day.
Like, how did that happen?
Bro, they was making... Bro, not only that, Rambo was in the game. Terminator was in the game. What? They had their bosses were pop culture features that they were trying to get away. So back then, I'm assuming that, licensing things were very loose and you could get away with that back in the 90s and stuff like that. Huh. So they were just like, you know what? It'd be great if we have Shinobi fight Godzilla. It would be great if we had Shinobi fight. One boss was literally Batman, Spider-Man, and then when you beat him, Batman comes.
Yeah, I was just watching it because when you said that, I was like, there's no way. It's like, there's no way.
That's why Revenge Shinobi is a classic, because it was all it was a great game with all these pop culture references, amazing music. But then as later iterations came on, they had to patch those out. So like if you get like the newer versions of Revenge of Shinobi, they're different characters, only with the Batman and the Spider-Man fight. The other ones, I guess, licenses. Oh, okay, you can have a muscle band guy that you killed his skin. He turns into the Terminator. He has a robot endoskeleton. I guess that's not copyright infringement. You can do that. But Marvel and DC was like, Sega, no. Where's my bread, bro? You think you gonna run around and have a Batman symbol or Spider-Man?
Unbelievable.
The 90s was a crazy time, man.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it really unreal. I actually would love to see them figure that out and bring that back somehow. Like, imagine a secret boss fight in this new Shinobi that had Spider-Man and Batman.
Bro, fans would go crazy.
Come on. That would put the game on the map. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm glad it's delivering for you, and that whatever Sega's up to with all these newly announced games, at least some of them seem to be panning out pretty well. All right. Next up here, how long is Stalker 2, you may be asking? Well, GSC Game World spoke to the outlet The Gamer. They estimate that, and this will vary depending on how much side content you engage in, and the world's apparently very big, you may need up to 25 to 40 hours to finish this game. So pretty decent length here. Honestly, longer than I was expecting. I don't know. I thought this was going to be more like a Metro game where you go like linear, slightly open, linear, slightly open. But very surprised to see that it could push 40 hours, more than 40 hours. What are your thoughts on the length of this game?
I mean, I kind of expected it. It kind of felt like, you're going to be really immersed in this world. And the difficulty seemed intense, what I'm saying? So it's definitely about survival. It's definitely about these monsters and stuff like that. And I think we'll talk later, I'm really encouraged to see and hear everything that's going on with the development of this game. Because I got to be honest with you. I'm always honest with developers. When I see something, I'm like, all right, what about this that need fixing?
Yeah.
And what I felt at the time was like they still needed a little work. Now, mind you, this was like the Games Fest months ago, right? And since then, which we'll talk about, oh boy, I've heard they've come a long way. So it's good to see that, that one, the game length, and it seems that the quality is going to be there. And I'm pulling for them. We all pulling for them. We know the history with this team. So yeah, this if like I said, remember we did our recent show. This could be one of those ones that if Stalker ends up being a great game, you know what I mean? Man, Xbox, it already bolsters this whole huge, year that they're having for the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. I hope it delivers. I'm excited for it. Next up here, though, Cog, I'm more excited for this one. Go ahead, hit the tunes. Perfect.
It's time, baby.
We have brand new information on Starfield Shattered Space releasing September 30th. Bethesda was commemorating the 1-year anniversary of Starfield, and they write on Twitter, "Thank you to millions of players who have made the settled systems their home and helped make this an incredible first year for Starfield. We have much more coming, beginning with our first story expansion, Shattered Space, releasing September 30th. Here's a bit of what you can expect when Shattered Space launches. Over 50 new locations to discover and explore across Varun Kai. New grenades to craft that stem from organic material you gather, and they say it's gross. Formidable new enemies beyond your guard for redeemed and vortex horrors. And you haven't seen the last of Zealots, Spacers, or the Crimson Fleet. As you explore the planet, be on the lookout for those taking advantage of the situation. Stay tuned. We'll share more about Starfield's Shattered Space soon. And my guess is they are going to release the Gamescom video presentation to the public ahead of the launch of the game, the expansion. But 50 plus locations does put it, as Todd described it, in the Far Harbor territory. Far Harbor had 51 locations, I checked. So this is pretty comparable to that, which is very exciting once more. This seems like a good answer, though, on paper, to what people are looking for from Starfield. Have you read any of the previews from that video presentation of Starfield?
No, I have not. Tell me what's going on.
So the Vortex Horrors is the thing I wanted to point out to people, because I read Fexture Life's preview, and they kind of described it as potentially the death claws for Starfield. Like very big, horrific creatures that kind of pop up out of portals, surprise you, run after you, that sort of thing. And you're like, oh shit, like Terramorph kind of status, where you're like, oh boy.
Love Terramorphs.
Yeah. So they got that there, potentially. I thought it was interesting that you're going to have the Spacers and the Crimson Fleet there. So it seems like there's something that's pulling more than just you here. But I can't wait to learn more. I've been playing a little bit of Starfield here and there. lately, and I have soured on some things of the game. I've warmed up on some things of the game. I just did my 1 year later retrospective.
I watched that 1 year retrospective.
What'd you think?
It was very good. I'm on the opposite side of
I know you love it.
I love the game, right? But I was like, oh, he doing a Starfield. Let me too. Nah, you were fair. You were fair. I was ready. I was like, you better not say nothing too slick. I'm coming at him. But all jokes aside,
I love BGS games. Yeah, I don't hate Starfield. I just think it's got a very high ceiling it's got to hit, and I truly believe Shattered Space will be the beginning of that if they deliver. I mean, just having it all in one location is already like, gonna propel probably what I like a lot about Starfield. And when it's based around my girl Andreja, oh boy, it blows my mind when I read some of those comments. People are like, this game's written like shit. I'm like, this character's fucking amazing, dude. I don't know. I'd like to say I'm one of the biggest critics of writing, and I can't wrap my head around people fucking saying Andreja sucks.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Such a fucking good character.
That's ridiculous. And I want to give a shout out to 2 other characters, dude, that I've actually been playing with in this playthrough, as far as in the Starborn playthrough, which is Sam Cole was written really well with his daughter. And also what's his face? The brother, is it Barrett? Why am I thinking Barrett from Final Fantasy? It's someone to be.
Oh, it is Barrett.
It is? Wait, he's also Barrett?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A nod, if you will.
Absolutely. Like, there's some characters. The only one I was disappointed, I think we talked about it during the review, is that I felt there was a missed opportunity with old boy that's in the religious guy that's inside the he's where the constellation guys meet. And he's kind of like the theologist. He believes more in like religion as opposed to science. And he's got the hat.
Oh, Mateo.
Mateo, yeah, I felt Mateo was a missed opportunity because I like that he had a differing opinion on this whole phenomenon that's happening.
Yeah.
And you only get to utilize him once during the time where you're trying to find out about people in the embassies and stuff like that. But storyline wise, I just like, man, I wish they'd still go farther away. But by far, Andreja is the most superior companion of them all, especially if you try to romance her. Because even without the romance, she's dope. Because I remember in the beginning, at first, I didn't romance her. And I just remember taking her through like the museum, before we start the Vanguard quest. Bro, you want to go with her. And it's like when someone rewrote your history and you listening to the history books try to tell your story. Yeah. And she's like, oh, no, this is what happened with my race. And this is what happened really here. She's like, oh, that's that propaganda. Like, she's on it. Like, I love her perspective on a lot of things. And yeah, it goes to show you, House Varun and their religious beliefs and their thinking is different. And I love that about the game. That's why when people tell me that there's no story, it's like you did not play the game or you just beelined a main quest, because if you played it and you established with these characters are extremely well written. So yeah, I'm excited because she's the best character in that storyline to go there. So excited, bro. So excited.
Yeah, I do think her character has the chance to just like skyrocket to like the top as one of my favorites, because I genuinely think like when I talk about good romance in games, I'm glad you brought it up. Like Andreja is a perfect modern example I can point to and be like, that is some complex shit that has some really tough questions, and you kind of feel foolish with the answers you're picking, because a lot of your answers are like, hey, like, let's just focus on right now. Like, that doesn't matter. And as someone who was hitting a lot of those answers, when the time comes where it's going to be like, well, it's either this way or that way, Mr. Matty, I'm going to be like, oh, fuck, man. So, yeah, as someone who just adores that character, so well performed too.
Yes.
Very excited for Shattered Space. We say all of this because if you're going to get into Starfield, and you're getting to it for Shattered Space, spend some time with Andreja.
Yes, please.
Got to.
Please. If you're not going to romance, that's cool. At least have her, once in a while with the party, in your party. But please.
Frankly, when I think about it, I wonder how Sarah Morgan compares, because I can't really say much, but I didn't really get to spend much time with Sarah Morgan, so I don't know too much
for reasons.
Her. Yeah, I don't know too much about her in the scheme of just, I want to know what's out there. That's all I know about her.
She's just getting on my nerves because she's just, every time I do something, I can't believe you did. I'm like, I'm leaving you in the ship. I'm done with it.
Oh, bro, Andreja was scolding me last time I was playing. When I sided with the Crimson Fleet, she was like, I can't believe you do this. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I thought it was a great choice. Like, my guy just had all my answers to her were just being a prick. And she was just like, I hope you realize what you've done. I'm like, man, like,
yeah, they get pissed. So what I would do with those situations, I leave them in the ship and I go get a Doran fan, or because he down for all my BS.
Doran fan's got your back.
He got my back. Or if you complete the Crimson Fleet quest, there's your man that you can get, the extra companion.
Yeah.
Bro, he is down for all the dirt.
Yeah.
He is the most shiesty character. And that's what me and Jez bonded on, because my only issue with Starfield at first, I'm like, everybody's so morally goody-goody on some level. And I didn't feel there was enough balance for that. Oh, you take your man from the Crimson Fleet?
He'll love anything you do. That's breaking law.
How we gonna rob and kill him and get the money? Like, he is about all the action. I love him.
He's good. So yeah, Starfield Shadow Space, 50 plus locations, looking pretty good on paper. Looking forward to when Bethesda shares more. Only under 20 days till it comes out.
Yeah, and I think this is the right approach. You know, just getting focused on a central area. Let's get back to traditional Bethesda. Yeah. You know, you tried the procedural. Let's get to a really focused story.
Let's get to Final Fantasy on Xbox. Jez Corden spoke on the Xbox 2 podcast, and there was a follow-up from Video Games 24/7 editor Alex Donaldson, kind of pushing back on this claim. But Jez says, I have heard the whole slate is on the docket, including Final Fantasy 7 and 16 and Pixel remasters. A lot of people were wondering if Sony had locked down Final Fantasy 7 forever. I've heard that is not the case, that Final Fantasy 7 will eventually come to Xbox. I don't know when it will, and I don't know if it'll be in the first wave. You'll probably expect Pixel remasters and maybe Final Fantasy 16 initially. Whereas Alex Donaldson shared his own batch of information saying, I'll go ahead and just outright say that to my knowledge, there is presently no active development on an Xbox version of Remake or Rebirth. They will obviously eventually do it. But as far as being in active development or active port development now, to my understanding, which I'm quite confident in, they are not. 16, I think, is more obvious and clear cut. You only need to look at Yoshida's comments over the last 6 months or so. It's clear that will happen sooner rather than later, end quote. Yeah, I imagine there's a little more urgency to get the new one that kind of seemed to flip-flop between being profitable and in a good standing like it just went back and forth between those two, versus now they're saying like it is in a good spot. So I'm sure they want to get that out to more people. They just got it out on PC. So like the next step is getting it to Xbox. What are your thoughts on the potential rollout of Final Fantasy? We've talked and speculated about it a lot. We'll talk about later how Xbox is attending Tokyo Game Show. Seems like a really good spot to make an announcement of some kind, but what are you thinking here about Final Fantasy on Xbox?
Yeah, I agree with Jez and Alex. I think both statements don't necessarily, oppose each other. I do feel that I agree with Jez it completely in the sense that, 7 and the whole remake situation, it seems to be a more complex deal. There's 3 separate games that were released. The full trilogy is still not out, let's be honest. And we have to look at the fact, if we're being respectful of contracts, there had to be something contractually set with those 3 games and how they're linked to Sony and how the release rollout. And Xbox may have to respect that deal, almost similar to like a Ghostwire Tokyo or a Deathloop. Those things were in place, even though your relationship now with Square has improved. But with 16, that's different. We've heard the conflicting, what did it do well? Did it not do well? But at the end of the day, those ones, that one seems to be on the fast track, and maybe as well as the Pixel remaster. And as far as Alex's thing about the port, they won't be an active port on Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff like that, in my opinion, until all the games have come out and they're contractually done. And then also with Square's cadence, it seems to be PlayStation at that time, then PC, and then Xbox. So that's the vibe I get. Hey, if it comes, if Final Fantasy VII wants to come out early, remake, hey, great. But I'm looking forward to probably 16 and Pixel, remasters as the next big ones to kind of come. And I'm looking forward to it. That's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped my playthrough on 16, because my gut told me it's coming. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. I know a lot of the emotional people think that, it's not going to happen. I'm like, look, we've got all the evidence.
16 will definitely happen. Not a source, by the way, but 16, I feel pretty strong will happen. Same. Just it makes so much sense with a good place to start the partnership, because I think the future with Xbox and Square Enix is similar to look at Bandai. Like, I think just day and date for everything. It's there. It's Xbox has the same release cadence as everyone else, and that's all Xbox fans want. Is like, see on PlayStation, there's no exclusivity deal. This should be here day one on Xbox, and absolutely, I think that's a fair expectation. And Hopefully that's been figured out. For now, it's going to be a trickling of, getting these games out over time. I do wonder if Pixel Remaster might get announced during Tokyo Game Show. I still feel like that's got to be the first one. Like, that's been done for a while. They're doing a re-release now with the anniversary edition, and it just make a lot of sense to be like, hey, alongside that release is also the game being available on Xbox. So
yeah,
I'm still going to stick to my guns that that's got to come first, but I would understand if Square was more inclined to bring Final Fantasy 16 over first. So I'm just hoping for day and date games.
That's what they did. We're in a transition to them stop being a mercenary and bringing stuff over, and that's where I think we are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Black Myth Wukong, apparently pretty great game. I want to try it out sometime this year. I don't know if I will get to it, but there's been a lot of snafu surrounding this game when it comes to exclusivity deals, and this is a really unique one. Paul Tassi of Forbes says, quote, "A source with knowledge of the situation has told me that Black Myth Wukong is not currently on Xbox because of an exclusivity deal, and it is not delayed because any sort of technical issue," end quote. Now, at first, I think it was him saying this, and then I apologize, I'm going to get this YouTuber's name wrong, but like Xstasis, who does like a lot of Game Pass leaks, was saying like, no, it is a tech issue. But since then, IGN has claimed the same thing from an anonymous source of their own, with Windows Central further corroborating these reports. And Xbox has since responded on the matter with the following, quote, "As we have said before, we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S, and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We'd prefer to not comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we can confirm that the delay is not due to Xbox platform limitations that have been raised to us," end quote. So a little more direct this time around, saying like, it's not tech stuff, it's something else. And now we have three sources saying, yeah, this is an exclusivity deal. The question that's circling is, and why there's so much, like, normally it's just like, yeah, PlayStation has exclusivity deal, the sky is blue, grass is green. What's interesting is that they locked this thing up potentially in some way, shape, or form, but have not done the marketing for it, have not really broadcast this. And I found that particularly interesting. So I'm wondering, I saw a theory. I wish I knew where it was. I don't know if it was like a random comment, but I'm just going to spit it out there. It was like, this PlayStation, they already had a, quote, controversial launch with Stellar Blade, which was just completely overblown. And then there was another, quote, controversial launch with Black Myth Wukong, which is just like a very popular game in China and now in the West. So some people are like, well, is it just trying to disassociate themselves from the drama by not doing exclusive marketing? Or is it just an attempt to, there's a different level of exclusivity deal that we're learning about now, which is to make your competitor just look weaker and kind of feed into the rumor mill? Which one do you think it is?
Yeah, I think, look, it's a little bit of both, but listen, I don't look at this as like, so nefarious in the sense that like, this is what I'm a person who's come from the exclusivity era. This is what you're supposed to do. Now, what's different here is we're not used to seeing this without like the broadcasting and the marketing deal and stuff that we're state of play. And then you kind of get that associated. I get that. This seems like, you guys need help getting it out? We could provide resources. We could do that. And granted, Xbox could do the same. I'm not saying that they can't and that this is so egregious, but the thing that was frustrating me with this news where people were acting like people were clutching their pearls. There's no way Sony would do something. Like, stop. Like, we're not doing that. And that's what annoys me with this whole exclusivity thing, because both companies do this, right, on some level. It's just that this particular one was done in a way we never seen before, at least publicly, right? When you have Microsoft making a statement twice, like, yo, fam, nothing's wrong with our system, and we don't comment on the deals made by, they're letting you know. And see, I have to give Microsoft credit. This is the first time I've seen them like literally verbally make PR statements inferring that this is happening, and good on them, because a lot of people, again, I'm tired of the pearl clutching with Sony in terms of there's no way they would do something like this. It is evident that we've seen this before in the past.
It's just a little weird. It's like, I know some people will interpret it as like Xbox podcast bitching about PlayStation exclusive, but it's like, no, it's like not that. It's just like, it's just in their pattern. It's like, I've never faulted PlayStation for the way they conduct their business. I think it's smart. There's a reason why they're in the lead. Like, it's smart, they're ahead for a reason. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all, but I think pretending like there's no way. I'm like,
I started to see. Yeah, please.
I'm just like, come on, really?
Come on,
they're against making money. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Come on.
They're against getting the #1 game in China based on Chinese lore, and also associating that game with their platform in that region, which is a region that both platform holders want. This is
I forgot about that. Yeah,
like, bro, this is a business power move. You best get whatever you can do. Hey, would you like some coffee? Hey, what can we do to get this port through?
The PS5s were selling out in China. They were selling out in China. So
this is genius. This is gangster. Do that. Like, I'm not mad. Like, again.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I was just gonna say what happened with the numbers of Black Myth Wukong that a lot of people originally weren't looking at. They're like 2 million players. Like, the West was wrong about this game. I'm like 2 million. Most of those are in the East. Like, come on. Like, yeah. Like, that's let's be very honest about the numbers here. And again, that's not a knock at the game. Like, that's brilliant by PlayStation to be like, we're trying to get in the Chinese market. So we got Genshin Impact first. Now we get Black Myth Wukong. Our PS5s are in a ton of houses in one of the biggest markets in the world. It's fucking brilliant, dude.
Brilliant, bro. I could not knock the hustle. I was like, yo, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take that thing. And kudos to them. So I'm glad this came out, and now we've got to. And wait, hold on. I want to shout my man out. Hold on. I never do this. I got to shout King David out because they threw stones at my man. Like, he had this information before everybody. We were at Summer Games Fest, right? Now I can talk about it. We were at Summer Games Fest. Yeah, we were at Summer Games Fest, right? And a caravan of Xbox executives pulled up, right? And, one of them was Sarah Bond. You know what I'm saying? So he has a relationship, with Sarah. I'm like, all right, cool. You guys, I'm off to the side talking to whoever. I think I was talking to Jason Rod or whoever I was talking to. And now, in fairness, I was not physically in earshot of the conversation, right? But King at the time, remember, we just came off of the main show where we saw Wukong. We're like, yo, where's the Xbox version? Interesting. Remember we saw the trailer and it was just like PlayStation, like it was we were like, whoa, at the Jeff show. So then this is the next day now we're going to see the games. He goes over, he pulls up on, yo, what's up? What's up with that Wukong on the X? What's up?
Who did he ask?
Shit. The Queen.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, I can put it out there now because he put this out on his video. I'm just repeating what King said at the time. He was like, the Queen said, we can't comment on the deals of others. He put that out on his channel. He got stones thrown at him. You're a fanboy, whatever. And I said, King, what happened? He's like, bro, this is some type of deal in place. He been said this, but because of King David, I understand. He's very passionate about his brand.
Not getting the benefit of the doubt. I get it.
I get it. So they laughed him. Also, all he said, it's funny that other people got to tell you what I told you was said, and that's the truth. So now it's coming to light. Now we got the IGA collaboration, we got the Paul Tassi collaboration. So we got, and obviously the Jez Gordon, the Windows Central collaboration. These things happen. That's all we try to say, and it's good business. You know what I'm saying, to me, to get into that market. So that was it. It's not a big deal, and for them to get the game out, and hopefully they get the Xbox One, the Xbox version whenever it's ready, kind of thing, or whenever the time has elapsed.
Is there certain games that I feel like you could if you're looking at it from purely a business perspective, like what makes Xbox more successful, and you look at all the games that they're missing, it's like, we'll talk about it actually in a little bit, but could you stomach like a Marvel versus Capcom missing if they were day one with Black Myth Wukong? And it's like, there might be a problem just in the building of identifying, hey, we need to make sure this is on our platform, especially now that we've kind of dropped this parity clause. Like, we need to make sure it's on our platform. So it's something I'm starting to monitor a little more closely of like, okay, how, like, are you guys this isn't like an MT framework issue now. Like, this is just a game that straight up got money had it off your platform. How did you snooze on that? How did that happen so last minute? I don't know if it's in their control fully in that regard, but again, just if there was a way to pay, I don't know.
No. And this is where I think that's the main point, right? Which is kind of like, it's clear as day that Sony recognized this and made the move, whether it be financial or any other type of assistance, right? And the question now is, why aren't you making that kind of move, right? If you have the ability and you're the challenger brand, it behooves you. You knew this game was coming. You knew how the hype around this game, it looked like one of those. So why wasn't the initiative there to kind of beat them to the punch? Now, provided they may have relationships that, I remember talking to Peter Moore about this, and I remember during the Sega Day, he would talk about trying to get Xbox exclusives and Xbox relationships during the 360 era, and he would tell me, he's like, "Oh, you best believe there are relationships that we could not penetrate that Sony established." He told me that straight as like this. So again, it's leveraging that kind of stuff. But to Xbox's credit, they've done a better job in that in these type of games in these type of regions. But in this particular case, I was surprised, that they didn't have the foresight to be like, "Yo, we need to be there first," if possible, if they could.
Absolutely. So with that, we move on, Cog, to our next topic here, where Shinji Mikami has spoken on the fate of Tango Gameworks. I thought it was just an interesting comment to make note of here as they were talking with IGN, and it's about his exit from the company. He says, quote, "I thought the studio would be safe as long as they continue to make Hi-Fi Rush games. That was one of the reasons I left Tango Gameworks. So I was surprised when the studio was closed down. Now Krafton has taken over the business, so I feel like it worked out well in the end. I was reminded that if you make a good game, someone will pick it up. The hard work of Hi-Fi Rush's development team led to a new chapter for the company. I think that for a development studio, making a good game is more directly related to survival than making a popular game." End quote. Do you agree with that sentiment? What are your thoughts on that?
Whew, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I like this, but it's like, shout out to the legend, Shinji. Shout out to him talking. We like to hear from him, Tango legend. It's a good question, right? Because in this climate, Maddie, I may have to push back a little bit, slightly. Only because as a purist, I want a good game. Of course, you want a quality game that stands the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just worry in this climate, bro. I do. I really worry that it's all about that engagement. It's all about those metrics, and these publishers and these stakeholders, they are valuing that. And then we see our beloved games, like, I think about you with Dishonored, right? Think about it, right?
Yeah.
Classic, bro. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even known the amazingness that is of arcade, right? And it goes to show you, not disrespecting, but you got your death loops, and you got, the directions they have shifted to, where they may have gone lighter on the pure gameplay mechanics that people know them for, but they're trying to popularize it and make it more sexy to the masses. And I think that's where things are trending. Now, the beauty I know you're going to talk later, is like when you look at a thing like an Astrobot right now, right? And you say, look what happens when you really dedicate to quality. There's still an audience for that, right? And that's the hope. And you just hope that you have more outliers like that, and Elden Ring, Tree, or really no microtransactions and multiplayer, anything, right? So it goes to show you they're still there, but to try to convince these guys, when you're in the realm of the Fortnites, you're in the realm of all these money makers, and everyone's trying to take these I don't call them shortcuts, but trend wave catching, trend chasing, that kind of thing.
I'm more in agreement with Shinji.
Ooh, let's go.
I am, because I really think about it. I've talked a little bit about putting the cart before the horse with these live service games a million times, where it's just like, why are you trying to make live products before you've made anything good? Because to me, if I want to play something live, I want it to be good first, and then I'll invest in you. And I think that's becoming more and more commonplace. You look at how many people are playing Space Marine 2, and how it's predominantly a single player game with the co-op mode attached, and people are really buying into it because it's really good time. The co-op mode is ambitious enough to kind of net people in, and there's enough planned content moving forward where they're like, okay, we can make something out of this. Like, this is going to go on for a while, probably, over 250,000 player playing on Steam at once. This game's a tremendous success, and rightfully so. That game is amazing. So I agree with it on that front. Like, if your first thought is, how do we get a lot of players in? Like, I think you could start there, but if you're like, if it's like, so that we can ask for money, immediately you've lost the plot. I agree that everyone's, for the most part, trying to make a good game, and it kind of starts there. Like, you don't go out and say, like, I'm going to make some shit. It's tough to make even a bad game, Unfortunately, game development just works that way. But when I look at his comment here, it's like, yeah, I mean, number one, we already knew the metrics, apparently, according to Xbox, if we were to believe them, for Hi-Fi Rush were somewhat good at launch, and maybe just not good for the dance partner. I know you're saying it's going down, but I'm just saying that I think part of what making a good game that's also not too lenient on popularity is depending on who your dance partner is when you go to market. So if you pick a company like Xbox, It's like, yeah, like for example, my dinky little game is not going to make a fucking dent for them probably. That's just not going to happen. So I'm not going to like that. That's probably not a good partner for us to publish with. But if I work with a similar indie publisher where, oh, we sold like 200,000 copies and that makes waves for them, it's a much better partnership, right? Because your goals are closely aligned and you can really focus on just making a good game at that point because you're not trying to do mass market appeal. And I think more than anything, what speaks to me, at least as a consumer, is continuous goodwill. I think that kind of loops into the good game. Like everyone makes a good game, but it's like how you treat the customer beyond that. That return customers are, I think, very underappreciated in gaming. Like just the ability to pull someone back in. Like EA, for example, was voted worst company in the world multiple years in a row. And like that's why they were like not really hitting because their single player games weren't hitting. But when they started to kind of respect the customer a little bit more and do things that were better on the single player front, they were getting more returning fans because like there was a goodwill move in that. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the best example. I don't know why I started with fucking EA, but like Baldur's Gate 3 with its continued support and just good choices on how they manage the game. That is what I think leads to the snowballing that makes a good game popular is like, oh, that's a company I want to support because there's so many shitty companies. It's a small industry. We hear about all the bad companies right away. So I agree with Shinji for the most part. Like it's not a perfect statement, but I agree with the thought process here. And I hope that there are better days ahead for Hi-Fi Rushing. And I worry a little bit with how Krafton treated Callisto Protocol and how they kind of rushed that out the door because of Dead Space Remake, presumably. So I do worry a little bit about that, but we'll see otherwise.
Yeah, all I was going to add was just like, it was interesting to me that he said that I thought they were good, as with Hi-Fi in the talk for the studio. And he's happy that eventually it still worked out. Obviously, the studio got closed. But yeah, that was interesting to me. So yeah, it's good to hear from him. And good. I'm always going to be on the side of a good game. That's number one.
100%. Next up here, according to Phil Spencer at Gamescom, Xbox helped fund and support Capcom's new title, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, which I thought was just an interesting little nugget here, Cog. You've been really championing this game. We know Xbox sometimes does this with certain titles, but to help fund something like Kunitsugami is pretty, I think, important to note because not many games like this exist, as you've really documented. And so I think it's applaudable or it should be applauded, I should say, for Xbox to kind of back this thing, get it on Game Pass, but just make a very unlikely title exist. Because a lot of people are like, why is Capcom doing this? And it's like, well, maybe because Xbox is fronting the bill. And not getting exclusivity out of it, again, just a little bit of a head scratcher. But that's the way they're going right now, trying to push Game Pass and day one and all that stuff. So, Cog, your thoughts on Xbox helping fund Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess?
Did not know this. This is very heartwarming. I'm look, I've been very hard on them recently, but I have to signal boost this. This is a big deal. This type of game is so unique and it would not have existed. And companies don't want to take these type of chances on games like this. So to hear the Xbox get involved, see something, again, talent recognition, seeing something you like, seeing something that you think has potential. And then to your point, the way they're viewing it is Game Pass is the exclusive, right? So you get this in there, but to fund and support it, to get it across the finish line is this is a high quality game and there's nothing like it. I go to bat, how hard I go for Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. So many people have hit me up like, "Cock, thank you for putting me on to it," because we need those type of innovative games that's different, that break the norm. And I like that they got involved. So salute to them on that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still looking forward to trying to squeeze that in this year. As we'll get into what we're playing, I'm playing a lot and also finishing writing my game. So, I'm pretty tied up, but
you got a lot going though.
Yeah, but I'm doing a really good job balancing it all. I feel pretty good about my odds of playing and being that game because there's a lot of gems this year that like I want to play Plucky Squire. That's Kunitsugami's another one. Like I think a lot of my favorite games this year have been the smaller, tighter experiences. So I want to make sure I get them in for the game of the year list consideration. But time will tell. Time will tell. For now, Cog, we briefly talked about this last week. You brought it to my attention in the middle of the show. I completely missed it. The Enotria Last Song saga was ongoing. Since last week, we didn't sit down and do like a traditional Defining Duke episode. It was more like a themed Defining Duke Ultimate Spirited episode. We didn't really get to cover what happened there. But long story short is that there was a port ready for this Italian Renaissance era kind of inspired Souls-like game. And they couldn't release it because Xbox hadn't got back to them for months. So the update now is, quote, "We would like to officially thank Phil Spencer and his team for reaching out to us so promptly and helping us resolve our situation. We would also like to thank our amazing community for all the support shown in the recent days. Your voice has been heard very loud and clear, and your commitment has been heartwarming. We are now working closely with Microsoft, and we hope this collaboration will lead to the game's release for Xbox as soon as possible, end quote. Zach Dalton writes in, hey, Dukes. He actually says, hey, Ducks. So we'll take it. What are your thoughts on the whole Enotria situation that happened last week? This game has had a tumultuous relationship with Xbox, as they have been having issues with an Xbox version since March. It literally took the devs posting on social media about Microsoft not replying about certification for months for Phil himself to apparently finally step in and help these devs bring the game to Xbox. Fans complain all the time about games skipping Xbox, and here's a developer literally saying Microsoft wouldn't get back to them so they could have an Xbox version. How does this happen? Normally, I'm not one to leap to Phil's defense, but I'll say this, man. This is someone else's fucking job. This is not Phil's job. It's not his job to get in and make sure, like, this is someone's job to get back and to make sure that they're verifying if games can come to market. That's not Phil's job. The fact that he stepped in is commendable because it shows he heard that and immediately was like, okay, we got to take care of this because this is bad for the brand. But if I'm him, I'm fucking pissed. He should not be getting involved at all with this type of shit. Just not his job. But he runs the brand, so I'm glad he can move some mountains and make this happen. Shouldn't have happened in the first place, but I'm glad he handled it. Cog, what are your thoughts on the Enotria, the last song update, and how we seem to be at the end of this saga, fortunately, as we're sitting down to cover it?
Yeah, I got some extra insight on this actually. So first, obviously, last week we talked about it was a different episode, but we did mention it, and I was just like, man, how does this happen, right? How does a developer, have the resources to pay to make the port? They want to be on your platform, and they hit you up, and for months there's no response to the fact where they got to go to social media and say, bro, like, what do we need to do? And we're angry, right? So I completely understand that. Now, there is an additional update that Microsoft had came out with. I want to put people on to. Mm-hmm. So they said they dropped an official statement. We've connected with, I pronounce it, is it Jayama Games? And got great feedback and will use to improve our process. We look forward to working with them to bring Enotria, the last song, to Xbox. We've heard from our sources that new security protocols put in place by Microsoft due to ongoing cyber attacks from hostile state actors like Russia may have impacted certification time for games. We'll be sure to update you further if more information come our way. So I've done a little bit of research into this. Another thing that I've realized, besides, remember, people don't know, Microsoft did have a vicious cyber attack recently, which I forgot about. That it was pretty brutal. If you go to the Enotria's YouTube page or their website, don't do it right now, by the way. IT News Flash, do not click their home site for this game. If you do not have malware in place, you will get a high good, blocking malware, adware type of program. You will get a notification. This is a dangerous site. So I'm guessing, based in conjunction what Microsoft has now said in reference to their certification protocols and stuff being hacked and stuff like that, and to their own site, Enotria's own site themselves, there is a problem. I've never seen this where you go to the site of the game and my security protocol, like, hey, you don't want to do it. This is not trusted.
Yeah, that's new.
I'm like, whoa, I just wanted to see the site. So I think that's what's going on here. And I think I'm starting to get clarity on the certification process with a couple of, there's no response going on. So hopefully they get this resolved. And I like it. It seems that, both teams are working with each other, but I did find this out on my own, doing my little IT investigation.
Oh, look at you go. Good pickup. All right. What's going on with Enotria, the last song? Next up, we got to talk about Tony Hawk. What's cooking with this 25th anniversary, Cog? There is some brand new imagery. I apologize. I didn't have the link in the script. I'll put it here in our Zencaster chat for you to check out. But yeah, there's new 25th anniversary imagery that's been popping up. And the 25th anniversary is on September 29th, to my understanding, which means that there's been a bit of speculation, like, okay, why are you doing this now? And there was originally in 2022 that Tony Hawk interview where he was like, yeah, we were doing 3 and 4 remake and Activision axed it. And so could this be a time for an announcement of some kind? Could some Tony Hawk games be coming back in any sort of capacity? I feel like it's been a long enough time to really miss this franchise, and I would love to see a Tony Hawk game come back. I'm a little less excited for Skate because all of their trailers have like 18 million skateboarders on screen. And I really like how the first game is this very intimate skateboarding experience, which I don't think is a sentence I ever expected to use in my career, but like I really I loved how the camera was pulled very closely to like the legs and the skateboard, and like you didn't get to see like your whole character and get off the board. Like I know that's what people really liked about Skate 2 and 3, but I like the more kind of solo experience and the open world style experience. And so I'm not too excited for the new Skate game, but like a little Tony Hawk arcadey kind of game. Oh, dude, I'd be all about it. I was playing my friends came over a couple months ago. I was playing Disney Extreme Skate Adventure, which is built upon the Tony Hawk engine back then. So it was like a Disney skateboarding game with Tony Hawk gameplay. It's awesome. So I'm kind of hungry for a new Tony Hawk game. I could get down with it. And actually, this is like the one game, the 1 and 2 remake, that I've held off on the most to play when it hits Game Pass, because I kind of marked it as like, all right, this is the game that I've missed somehow and that I want to play, but I'm going to wait for it to take Game Pass, and it's just taking forever to do it. So what do you think happens this day, if anything at all? Do you think they celebrate in any way? I feel like Game Pass drop makes sense, but anything else?
Yeah, I mean, look, as a person who's never played a Tony Hawk game ever, this excites me. So if you wanna, to me, this is now. Let's get into the fruits of the ABK deal now. Let's get to this. Is one of those brass tacks franchises that we need to promote. So if you want to start releasing some of the old catalog, put that out. But I think if you, the way to really jumpstart, if you want to really reinvest in this franchise again, is kind of remake those classics. And if this is the anniversary, let's do that. Let's put some nice coat of paint on some of this stuff. Let's get an audience like myself who either never played it, was not around, and the core base who knows about it. Let's reinvigorate. And it kind of reminds me of like, let's Mass Effect Legendary Collection this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get that swell going.
Yeah.
And then you gauge the interest and you go, okay, here's the new Tony Hawk coming.
Sure.
That's how you do it. And I think this is the time to do it, man. So I would love this because, again, as a person who is I'm familiar with the franchise, but I've never played a game. I would love
Tony Hawk game
ever, bro. Wow. I've never played a Tony Hawk game. It's one of those, we always got those weird gaps in our gaming history.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember people going crazy about it, kind of thing. So yeah, I would love to know what and I think like I've never really played a skating game like that ever, like ever. Not that I never had the desire. It's just that I don't know. It's just one of those weird things that I've never got a chance to do. So yeah, I would love to give it a shot.
Yeah, I used to skate a lot, so anything skateboarding I was like all about for a while.
Nice.
Now it's just grandfathered in.
Yeah.
All right, Cog, this is all you. It's been a rumor floating around for a long, long while, but Transformers listings have appeared once more. Ratings are in Australia. Hasbro is doing a video game lineup of toys, including the ones that are found in particular the Xbox 360, PS3 era Transformers games like Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron. And so, Cog, I want to just kick it to you, man. Like, this rumor's been for a while. Transformers 1 is out this week. Are you going to see it?
Yeah, I'm actually going to see it. I was debating because of this.
Animated?
No, not because it's animated.
I'd be creepy sitting in the theater watching this.
Stop. Damn, I'm getting a bad reputation. Look, I don't mind animated stuff now. But what pissed me off at first is that, look, as a person who knows the Transformers story, front to back, what kind of pissed me off was that, like, man, they're going before Optimus. They're going in the story before Optimus Prime becomes Optimus Prime, which he's Orion Pax, and Megatron before he becomes Megatron, and they were friends. People don't realize, like, they were friends before they evolved. So they're going with a lighthearted, kind of funnier story. And I was a little like, I don't know if I like that approach because Megatron becomes like this gladiatorial thing. And he's, it just seemed very jokey. Like that. It just, the theme of it just kind of threw me off. But I will say the art style, the animation looks good. King is kind of leaning me because I think he's going to go see it. And I think now my curiosity is getting the best of me. I want to know what they do with it. But I don't want no game based on this.
I've heard it's extremely good. So,
ooh,
yeah,
okay,
okay. Well, I mean, I think there was the director, the producer behind like the original Toy Story, and I think Incredibles or something like that. Like top Pixar movies is like directing this, and so apparently it's like very heartfelt, like really good. So, yeah, for me, when I heard that, I was like, I'm not a Transformers guy, so I heard that, I was like, I'm going to the theaters on the 13th. I can't wait.
I'm going to check it out. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for that. I did not know that. So that definitely boost me up a little bit more. And again, I just love Cybertron and Transformers lore. So this is big. Now, as far as the listings, look, this.
Oh, I also left out one other thing.
Go for it.
The article on TFW 2005, which is, I think, a Transformers website.
Yes.
They said was updated with the mention that 4 Transformers games, War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Rise of the Dark Spark, and Devastation, previously published by Activision, but now delisted, have had their CD keys updated. And also on August 22nd, the Australian Classification Board listed 2 listings for Transformers games. Both list the production company as Microsoft Studio. So it looks like something's happening behind the scenes, Cog. What are we thinking here? Re-release? Back compat? What's the thought process here?
Till all R1. All my Transformers fans know that reference. Listen, it's happening. It's happening. We're getting the fabled Matt Tiga games, the classics. There's no doubt about it. Now, you want to throw, again, for people who don't know, you got War of Cybertron, which was initially 3-player co-op. Great story. That was the initial one by High Moon Studios that Transformers fans around the world recognize as the definitive, those are the best Transformers games. And shout out to Hasbro for making these. Matt Tiga got these to be canon for the lore of Transformers. So that was the first, which was a great game. You play from 2 perspectives, the Decepticon perspective and the Autobot. Then the second, Fall for Cybertron, which they went with a no cooperative approach, more single story based. Again, 2 perspectives, but they also did something that Transformers fans always wanted, had never been done in the game. 1, the Dinobots. Never ever in the game. They're very hard to do. They're in the game. 2, for people who love Transformers, one of the greatest things are the combiners, the 6 or the 5 robots that merge into, you know what I'm saying? Into one big. They brought Bruticus in that game. They didn't get my beloved Devastator, but they gave us Bruticus. It was all good. That game is absolutely amazing. So those 2, Rise of the Dark Spark, that's that movie tie-in energy. Nah, fam.
I wasn't crazy about it either. Yeah.
We ain't feeling that. Devastation was low key. That's a platinum joint.
It's amazing. Low key.
Yeah, platinum. Wow. No, because it's controversial in Transformers, the community.
Okay.
I'm with you. I think it's a dope addition. I think it's very Saturday morning cartoon, cell shaded arts. It looked like the show. Then I want to give Platinum all the credit. They got the real voice actor. They got both Peter Cullen and Frank Walker to do. It was literally my childhood come true watching the cartoon with both voices in that art style. And they went with this very Devil May Cry kind of. And they had all my combiners, so no one's going to disrespect. They had Devastator, they had Minosaur. You put Devastator in the game, it's already 10 out of 10. That's one of my favorites. You've already won. The constructor cards, merge and form Devastator. You have won. There's nothing beating that. That is, when I saw that as a kid, I'd never forget that. I got to give you a little story quick. Like, I was watching the Autobots getting destroyed by this tube. I was like, who is this group? Who are the Constructicons? And why can't no one beat them? My favorite robot. But anyway, long story short, if they bring all 4 of them, and you throw that Game Pass, you give me a little FPS boost, you give me a little HDR, oh, I'm good, baby. Let's go. And then if you want to start that off for more Transformers games, some modernization, we got to come. I'm going to have to wear some t-shirts. Hashtag free Matt Teague. We got to free him, man. Get him out of the Call of Duty salt mines of High Moon. We got to free this man. Phil, Microsoft, if y'all listening, please, we would like to interview him. COG would like to interview him. 2, free this man. He can make Transformers games and he knows how to. Give this man a studio and a bag. Let's keep it going, man. I'm telling you, you got literally the Luke Skywalker of Transformers games in your studio and y'all not utilizing it. What's going on? Bro, Matt Teague is the man. I'm telling y'all, like, I don't know what's no one wants to find him.
His name comes up. I don't see COG more fired up than this guy. So,
bro, he's missing. It's like they like blink 2 times if you're under duress. Like, what's going on with him, man?
I was about to spoil the boys because it reminds me of a certain character. Just like, where'd they go? And so,
where'd they go?
Yeah. So yeah, but I feel like these gotta be coming back. When there's smoke, there's fire, and there's been a lot of smoke for Transformers between like what happened last year when we first covered this, where like Hasbro had to like take back what they said because they were like, oh, they might actually want to re-release it because Activision, they were blaming them for it, and they're like, no, it's like with you, and so
yes,
they got updated on everything.
Yeah, that's when Lulu had to get involved and said,
Yeah.
nope, the source code is not lost. They have it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's
yes,
what it
because
was, the source
that
code.
was
Yeah.
the fear that they lost the code and that now it's over with.
It's
But
so
yeah,
funny because they probably said something in the interview, then Lulu says that, and they're like, "Oh fuck, here it is!" Like, great, let's get this back online, you know?
let's go. Let's get this going, man. I need these.
Yes, sir. I agree. All right, Cog. Well, guess what else you need? Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection and Capcom Fighting Collection 2, because they are coming to Xbox in 2025. These were two of the MT framework missing games. They are now coming to Xbox, like I said. Florida Man has the right in for you, Cog. Hey, Cog, you got your wish. The Capcom Fighting Collection is now coming to Xbox. A great day indeed. So, yes, you're going to get your MBC2. You're going to get your Power Stone games. You're going to get it all. And in fact, it was interesting to see the announcement was from Capcom saying like, hey, we spoke with and we figured out this technical issue, which does suggest the MT framework problem was at the heart of these games not making the platform. And I think it hits a little bit different because it is coming from Capcom rather than Xbox kind of using that as the excuse. So good to see there. A lot of excitement about it. And I'll talk about Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection in a little bit, but great to know that game's coming to Xbox because it's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Florida Man. And shout out to the fact that what we heard is that it had to have an Xbox One version for this to happen. Remember, the ones that are coming out are not PlayStation 5 version, at PlayStation 4. So it's that framework. And again, knock that out and now continue on. Love it.
Absolutely. Hideaki Itsuno is leaving Capcom after 30 years. Pretty big deal here. He just directed Dragon's Dogma 2, which is one of my favorite games of the year and one of the most unlikely sequels ever, in my opinion. So he's done that. He also directed Devil May Cry 5. He's been there again for 30 years and has put his hands on some legendary shit. And he said at the end of August of 2024, so that's it now, I will be leaving Capcom after 30 years and 5 months. Thank you for your long-term support of the games and characters I've been responsible for. I hope you will continue to support Capcom's games and characters. From September, I will start developing a new game in a new environment. I hope to create fun, beautiful games that are as memorable as or even more memorable than the ones I've created so far. Please stay tuned for my next creation. So I don't know if he's going independent or if he's working with a different company now. Wasn't really specified, but they lost a very talented man in this one here. So Hideaki Itsuno is on to making more games. So fortunately, he's still here in this industry, but he will not be doing it for Capcom anymore. And he leaves on a high note with Dragon's Dogma 2, which is a superb, very unique video game that I still recommend.
Legend.
Any thoughts on this beyond that?
Yeah, no, absolute legend. And, again, like you said, it looks like the creative juices are still there. He still wants to create, still wants to do something. So, look, you've been there almost damn a Capcom lifer, but you still want to create. So we got to see what he's going. And, circle of life. Let's see if he puts together, a studio or what's going on there. And, this guy, absolute legend. I mean, I love Dogma 2. That's my first Dogma game, and I absolutely love it.
So good. This was a surprising leak, Cog. A Penguin game set in the Batman universe. Now, for those who don't have it in front of them, like the script, obviously you don't. The Batman is in like the recent movie that came out a couple of years ago, The Batman. It's gonna be set in that universe, and it's apparently a video game on the way, according to Insider Gaming. And I found this to be very interesting. Number one, out of all the comic book movies I've seen, The Batman is one of my favorites. It is an incredible kind of psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It's got horror vibes. It's got some really fucking great action. I love Robert Pattinson as Batman. He's arguably my favorite Batman from one performance. Like, I think he just fucking rules. I think he's like he felt born for that role. When he when I heard the name, I was like, the dude from Twilight, come on. But then I watched one scene. I was like, no, this guy's fucking built different. He's so good. And so yeah, that the Penguin's also getting a TV show is out now on HBO Max. And that looks like The Sopranos crosses with the Batman universe. So I'm interested if they're going to make almost like a mafia style game, but in the Batman universe. And I'm very keen on this because I feel like that's been the untapped part of the Batman universe is like, let's play as these other characters. Let's get different looks at this world and that don't put you beneath the cowl. So I'm very excited about this just by premise alone. Any thoughts on this, sir?
No, I'm glad you brought this to. I had no idea. So I think that I love the Batman. I did watch that. Mm-hmm. I like that it went with a more detective feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that to me is a big underrated aspect of the Batman character. Mm-hmm. Penguin game, I'm down. This is unique, right? Yeah. I've never really seen that. So I wonder if there's anything in coinciding with a potential movie tie-in, or you think this is separate?
Batman 2 is happening. I don't know when that's coming out. I think it's 2 years from now. I want to say it was a 26 movie. I could be wrong
Yeah,
though.
because the
But
first one was Riddler, right?
yeah,
Yeah, we have Riddler in that
I
one.
think
Yep. Yeah.
is it the Rat King?
Oh, okay. Okay. So you may be right. So it may be separate.
I might be
Okay.
crossing it up with the Arkham. I don't trust my
Gotcha.
word on this. I'm crossing it up with the Arkham Shadow game coming out, which I'm also really excited for. I think that game looks awesome. Shout
It's
out to
cool.
Meta on that one.
Yeah, shout out to
Good
Meta
work
on
on
that one. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I want to see what's going on here if they pull it off.
All right. We got 2 more items here to go through, Cog, and then we are on to what we're playing. Baldur's Gate 3's final patch has been revealed, and it features 13 new cinematics offering varying conclusions to your evil playthroughs, new legendary actions in honor mode, in-game mod support and manager, and a revamped split-screen gameplay option where the game screen will actually dynamically merge together when the 2-player characters have come close together, so it's not going to be split 24/7. The end of a road for a absolutely phenomenal RPG. I'm actually looking to key up another kind of playthrough because I haven't done Dark Urge yet. Locke talks to me about this game every week, so I wanna see what he's been raving about. I'd be so curious to see Locke's hour count on the game.
Whew.
But yeah, dude, just 13 more endings, pretty much. Like not really, but like cinematics attached to your ending, variations, like ridiculous amount of support there, and in-game mod support is huge with all the character creators and quests you can make. They put out a whole toolkit, so this game will be played for many years to come. There's no doubt about it. And I love that it used to be a time where Bethesda Game Studios thing was modding, but they have been caught up on so quickly. CD Projekt Red immediately or is finally gotten mod support going for both The Witcher 3 now and Cyberpunk within like a pretty close stretch of time. Baldur's Gate 3 having full in-game mod support and management just like that within a year of its launch. Really impressive. So yeah, the support for the game is done, and conclusion to a really, really good game. So I'm very excited to check out some of the new updates here. Any thoughts on what we got here, Cog?
Yes, I have thoughts because I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate, and I recently we went to San Diego, I was privy to 100-something gig update off Wi-Fi. I'm like, what is going on? Now I do have to, Larry, and I got to bring it to the front of the congregation though. Mm-hmm. Got to bring it to the front. I've been playing a lot. We'll get into what I'm playing, but I have to talk about this patch because even though this is amazing, this has to happen. They did one thing that pissed me the hell off, man. As a person who champions cross save and cross progression, this patch is only available for PC. If you play as a person who goes, remember, you know the COG mantra, play on Xbox Series X, jump on a plane with ROG Ally, continue either with ROG Ally at the hotel or continue on my laptop with the save. That is the future. That's why I love the Xbox ecosystem for this reason, right? Bro, so many hours I put in. I realized they dropped a patch. I'm like, all right, cool. Come home. I go to my Xbox save. Bro, it's like 4 hours ago.
Oh, no.
I'm like, yo, where's my data? I fire up the Ally. I see my data. I'm like, okay, it's here on PC. What is going on? I start researching. I'm like, what's going on? I try rolling back, deleting. They say, you got to delete your cloud save. Sometimes it's a problem on Xbox. Bro, it ain't Xbox fault. I checked it. I did all that. What it is patch 7 is not out on console. So cross save is not available. And they like, oh, it may come out in October.
Oh, so you gotta hit the pause button again on the playthrough, probably.
So I'm playing back on PC, but that's not what I'm playing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When I'm home, I want the OLED, I want the couch, I want my Valari, I want to chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what got me tight. So I'm like, all right, don't ever do this again. Larry, please. Simultaneous release. That's my only issue. But other than that, all the updates are amazing so far. And I'll talk later about both.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts in a moment here. But last bit of news, Remedy and Annapurna Interactive have announced a partnership to co-publish Control 2 and expand the Alan Wake / Control IPs to film, TV, and more, which one of my gaming sins is I have not played Alan Wake 2 yet, but my understanding is that they take a lot of the notes from Quantum Break, where it was kind of a mixture of TV and game, and interweave that a lot more seamlessly and do a way better job of it. TV's always been a big part of Remedy, and if anyone's kind of fit for going to the big screen, if you will, it's Remedy. So very excited for this. I think it's a really good partnership for them to make, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it. So looking forward to seeing, and hopefully it'll kind of put them on the map beyond the, like, they've just been the company for so long that apparently makes extremely good games, but they're always slow rollers when it comes to the market. Like, they just always gradually build over time. And Sam Lakes even said that. He's like, yeah, unfortunately that's how our games work, but like, he doesn't seem to care at all. But because they get these great deals, like they're working with Epic, they're working with Annapurna, like they're low key the new Square Enix in the terms of just mercenaries getting bags and deals everywhere done. Despite their games not really selling like hotcakes. So I'm hoping that with more popularity, these series will do really well day one for once. So
yeah, no, not too much to add, but yeah, salute to them. We get that. And it goes back to the original vision of like a Quantum Break, which was supposed to have the television show and the thing. This seems to be the vision they want to do, because it's clear as day they have those television cinematic chops. So I'm curious to see them pull it off, especially in this era now where we're getting quality, versions of these major franchises.
Absolutely. Well, Cog, that's enough of the news for now. Let's talk about what games we're playing. Open us up, sir. What have you been playing?
Bro, as I said before, Baldur's Gate got me. Maddie, I'm coming around.
Okay.
I'm coming around. I am, not that I guess I was hard on it during the era when it came out in the software. The software was more easier to access for me. I enjoyed it. And I have to admit, Baldur's Gate, the onboarding is not great. I just got to be honest. It's not that it doesn't try and it doesn't do too much, but it's so much you can do in the game. And it really, you have to watch videos. You're like, oh, wow, you could do that? Like, oh, wow, you could, like, I had no idea. So now, and then also even with spell casting and stuff like that, and bro, the depth to this game is absolutely insane. And it's got its hooks. I am getting further and further. Bro, I had some moments that happened that I'm like, hey, yo.
Yeah.
This game is not only about double crossing, triple crossing. There's also characters that I'm like, oh no, yeah, it's not going down like that. I had a moment where something that was so foul happened that I was just like, oh no. And you could tell the game was like, it's going to go this direction from this point on. If you leave it like this, oh no, we ain't doing that. I had to make it my business to win a certain confrontation that was so crazy. Like, the characters, amazing. The character development, old school bio. I'm coming around, Maddie. I'm really like, it's like it's a brand new game to me right now, and I cannot stop. And it's thoroughly got it. So now you talked before, and I was just like, man, it's such a punishing game at first, but now I'm turned the corner.
Yeah.
Now I know how to deal with things. Now I got spells and I can control situations. My character, again, the dwarven monk, I'm actually utilizing a lot of my monk characteristics in conversation now to diffuse situations. Monk will come up, and I'm like, hey, yo, this is super dope. Some stuff went down with Will that I was very shocked about. That was interesting. I got to shout out the voice actor for, what's his name? Asterion?
Yeah.
Man, hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Hilarious, shiesty character. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. It's Shadowheart. But what's beautiful?
Oh, yeah, is she?
Yeah. Ooh, woo-hoo-hoo. Some Shadowheart things is going down. And I will say, late night at the campfire.
Did you happen to head to a beach?
Yo, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, like, as Lord Romance, as Duke of Romance, this game is hitting all the right notes. yo, it was so crazy. Let me just tell you this one thing. It was, what's your man that's the creep keeper that he builds? He brings the souls back.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
When people die, you go to him. You go to send him to the River Styx, so he bring your man back, right? It was one time I was just like, nah, I ain't messing with him. He came like, you don't seem to be encouraged. He said, you don't seem to have anyone that likes you. Like, it was some very, like, you're a lonely person. Like, he was disrespectful. I was like, yo, it's not your business to be worried about who I'm. He's like, don't you want to, after when the time is right. He was getting mad that I wasn't doing no campfire action for a good part of the game. I never seen the game do that. I was like, yo, this is wild. But that, bro, the abilities that I'm getting right now, offhand, on hand, I got some, what, you know what way it really changed for me? I started using the examine feature more and really breaking down my character versus the enemies, weaknesses, resiliences, things like that. Getting the higher places, using the jump feet. Like, this game is deep, bro. Yeah. I can't stop. And last thing I want to say, you nailed it. The cinematics with, I don't know what sorcery they're doing. I don't know what tech they're doing. It's still unparalleled to anything with facial reactions, gestures, movements.
Yeah.
Every little, I can't describe what tech that is and why it's so substantially better than everything else. But So Baldur's Gate still, I'm thoroughly locked in. I want to play other games. But Baldur's Gate's like, no, bro, we got to do this.
No, you're taking man for a while if you're sticking with Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, it's going to have
Act 1? Or are you?
No, I'm in Act 2 now.
Okay.
Oh, it's going down.
I thought we talked about that in San Diego.
Yeah. And here's the question now, last question I have for you. Did you explore? I'm the type of person, like, I don't want to leave an area until I get all the nooks and crannies of the map. I'm getting a little ridiculous, but I really love, because I'm finding powerful items, super dope quests, unique interactions.
Yeah, you got to do that. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So it's easy to miss a lot of stuff, though, especially if you like wander into get in the underground area in Act 1, what it's actually called. But I wandered in there at level 5 and I got bounced.
Bro, like, you go in there with that torch and that mist, and it's it goes down there. Yeah, it was real. I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, salute the Baldur's Gate. It's absolutely amazing. And then I want to shout out on the second thing I'm playing is I can talk about it now. A lot of tower board. So I got my shout out to Addict. We would have put this thing through its paces. So basically, art style is stoic. It's basically classic stoic Banner Saga art style. That very good character, almost anime cartoon feel. Beautiful 2D side scrolling environments, lush biomes are amazing. It literally feels like a cartoon jumping off the page is how this game looks to me. Classic beat 'em up. Now, remember when we played at at the Gamescom LA, I think, I don't know what class you play with, but I think they gave me Sentinel. You had your sword and shield.
Yeah.
And right. You can repel.
The brawler as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, all right. So now I didn't play all the other classes. All I played was that first one, sword and shield. Now you got brawler. He reminded me of your man with Arms from Arms and Nintendo. He got to go. You don't want none of the smoke with this. These, bro, he put his dukes up for real. And he's slow and he hits hard as hell, though. So salute to him. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like what's the name of the class? It's a 2-blade style, almost like a stealth ninja hunter.
I didn't get to play that one. I thought it was like a rogue kind of.
Yeah, like a rogue, bro. Stealth, very quick. Fast movements, a lot of disappearing, very fat. Not hit as hard, but very fat. And amazing juggling potential where you spin in the air, do these combos, sick and flashy. But I found my man. It's the hold on. It's the joint. It's called like the club. It's the pyroclast. So basically, he's got like a big mace thing, right? But on the attach, it's almost like you can fill it with fire, right? And this thing, you swing hard. You can get multiple enemies around you. You can also, when you juggle, you throw them up in the air and you shoot this cannon up at them and keep blasting them up. Bro, I love this class. Absolutely. So it has the beauty. You have the multiplayer combat of beat 'em up. You got bosses. You got basically now they've got a little Destiny light in them, which is everything you do. You get gear, you get better gear, stuff like that. You look at the thing. Now you start to build craft. This gives me more life. This does more critical hits. This gives me my focus, beat 'em up. So Destiny fans are going to like this. It's Destiny light as far as the gear is concerned. But where it gets better, different gear gives you different combos and moves. So different weapons, excuse me. You get different weapons, they can give you all types of things. So it adds to the complexity of it.
They don't tie that to like progression of any kind. It's just the loot gives you different moves.
From what I've seen thus far, I've done about like 5 or 6 matches. Part of the game is trying to acclimate you, play all the classes, do this. Do what I consider the Destiny bounty, where you get things off the mesh. And they even got a quote unquote, they call it the Belfry. Bro, it's the tower. You could tell, because I got a shameless plug. I interviewed, Stoic, one of the PR people at them. It's on the Lords of Gaming YouTube channel. Please support the Lords of Gaming YouTube channel. That's for the website. Please. I know you got our own podcast, and we love you there. But if you want to support the media, please go to subscribe to Lords of Gaming YouTube. And we've got the Towerborn interview up there. And the thing about it is that, bro, like, it is, you could tell they were inspired by Destiny on some things, but it's a beat 'em up, very cool thing. My only nitpick, Maddie, though, I just wish with Stoic games, because the games are so beautiful. I'm like, damn, can we pay for some voice actors, though? It's so much text. That's my only thing. So I love it right now. I think this has tremendous potential. I think you'll like it too, Maddie. The key is going to be the narrative long term. How does that evolve? Is that compelling? And the stick-to-itiveness with it, how much they added. But from a game perspective, the gameplay is fun. It's frenetic. It's cool. And the art style is gorgeous. This thing is like a cartoon. So I'm pulling for Towerborn. I like it a lot, and I can't wait to see more. But 4 classes, all dope. And yeah, I highly recommend people give it a try. The open beta is now out for the Steam. So get that. And look, don't get mad, because they're doing this for cross progression, cross play, and local co-op. So, and one other nitpick, I did wish they had an offline mode. I did wish that. I want to play this on the Ally, on the go, and build up my guy solo. Like, I hope they
in line with their values. So it's kind of surprising it's not there at all.
Yeah, I tested it. I tried to play that shit offline. Nah, it's connected to the servers, B.
That's unfortunate, but yeah, it's one of those games that when I played it, I'm not an early access guy, really. Again, I always go back to, I didn't do Baldur's Gate 3 in early access. Like, I played for 2 hours and went, I love this. I'm going to wait for the full release. And same thing here with Towerborn. I played it, took 15 minutes. I was like, I love this. I'm waiting for the full release. So very excited for when Towerborn exits its beta into 1.0. But I was given a code to review this, and I was like, I'm going to hold off, especially because they were like, yeah, when the servers go online, you're going to lose all your progress. I was like, I'm good. I already did that with Halo, and I've paid my dues, and I'm good. I lost all my achievements for that. I'm good. That's
fair enough.
Time spent that I cannot afford to waste. So I will wait. Just embolden me further. Very happy to hear that it's playing as well as we had hoped. For me, I got a plethora of games to talk about here. I will just note that I'm reviewing 2 other things in the meantime. But we're getting hard at work with some of these games. Astrobot. Where are you on my desk? Here we are. Physical copy right here.
Ow!
Why do we bring this up? Because PlayStation and Team Asobi actually not only had like the bonus content slip, like, okay, whatever, little gimmick, bro. There's a whole poster in here. Hello.
That's old school.
Hello. Yeah, come on now. It's like a comic book strip. I refuse to unfold it until I'm done playing the game. But like, awesome physical copy. I got the last one. I was it was when we got back from San Diego. My friends were playing it. They're like, dude, it's so good. You gotta pick it up. I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and grab it. So I just got the platinum for Playroom, and I was like, all right, let me go grab this. And I check on Best Buy. It's like not available until the 11th. I'm like, what? I check Amazon, not available until the 11th. Get the hell out of here. Amazon too. I'm like, why is this thing so short stocked? GameStop, not even available at all. So I check my Target, and they say that it's available. So Laylee drops me off real quick there while we're driving home from the airport, and I grab some snacks. I get to Astrobot, and I see 1 copy left, and it's like the promotional copy. I'm like, fuck it, I'm taking it. So I grab it with me, and dude, I'm walking down the aisle, and I hear as a little kid go like, oh wait, where's Astrobot?
No, Maddie, not like that.
I'm like, yes, fate would have it that this would be my copy of the game. I was like, this is so perfect, right? Like, this kid's gonna have a canon moment and go play fucking Fortnite now because of me. He wanted to actually go. He actually wanted to go and pay for a game at a young age, and I took that moment from him. I was like, this is destined to be my copy. So
Wait, I gotta slow you up. So you took the joint, right? So wait, you was now on the line to go cash out. How? Where did you find him at? Or you were just
I'm
leaving?
like in earshot. So I grab the copy. It's like I walked off screen, and then this dude steps in and does not know I had the copy of the game with me. All I hear is like, "Oh man, where's Astrobot?" And I just had like my eyes stayed forward. I was like,
You know, I hear that.
yeah.
It
The
was
nice
just
guy
here.
in me was like starting to scratch on my head, like, turn around and give the kid the game. Do you really need this? I was like, I fucking want this game, man. I'm coming back from San Diego. Give me my Astrobot.
I love this story because it's messed up, but this poor kid was devastated. But it was just here. I don't know what happened.
I was like, snooze you lose, punk.
You're gonna learn a lesson today.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Continue.
I love that the kid was looking for physical games. That was why I thought about turning around. But thinking is not acting. So I didn't do anything right in this situation. I just took my game. Anyway, Astrobot is fantastic. We did have a write-in here. Burger King Airplane Guy writes, "Hey Dukes, have you had a chance to play Astrobot? I can imagine it's a little too close to the playground for our boy Cognito. Do you think Xbox needs or already has a platformer mascot akin to Astrobot or Mario? Thanks for the content. And have at least my console isn't $700 kind of day." Well, don't worry. We'll talk about the PS5 Pro, y'all. All of our write-ins were on the Pro. All of them. Like we had 65 write-ins. All of them were on the Pro. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. As you notice, we haven't had like any write-ins this episode because all of them are about the Pro. Just a couple for the what we're playing section. All were about the Pro. This game is brilliant, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's the top rated game for a reason. Astro's Playroom was great, but I was wondering with how gimmicky it was, if like building a full game around those ideas was going to work. But the best choice they made with Astrobot was leaning into characters instead of tech. So Astro's Playroom is, the SSD highway, cooling fans, and like, it's a frozen kind of area in the game.
GPU.
Yeah, GPU garden or whatever they call it. Now you have a game that's like based all around these characters, and it's a really good 3D platformer. When I realized it, I'm like, I haven't played a great 3D platformer in my head since Mario Odyssey. Like, that's the one that stands out for me. I'm not a big 3D platformer guy outside of the ones I grew up with, like Sly 2 is one of my favorite games ever. That is a 3D platformer. Like, I'm very picky with that sort of stuff, but it really speaks to my childhood a bit. I'm like, yeah, these games were kind of what raised a ton of us, and they've gone away. So it was really cool to see PlayStation just invest in something that typically they wouldn't. This isn't open world. This is like very much a bite-sized kind of game, fragmented into a couple of zones, 50 levels or so, and you're done. Right now, I'm going for 100%ing the game because I really like it that much. I've completed 2.5 of the zones so far, and all of the secret levels as well. But I mean, these levels are like deep and full of collectibles. I really like how this game keeps me away from looking up guides online. So when you finish a level, when you go back into it, there's a little like bird that you could spend 200 coins on to follow you around. And as you run through the level again, the little radar is going to go off when you're near a puzzle piece or one of the missing Astrobots or one of the secret levels, and you can unlock those collectibles that way. So I like that I don't have to look anything up, I assume, to probably platinum this game, which is really cool. It's really neat to get from the gacha machine all the collectibles that you get for these Astrobots. So you'll get like the crate for Solid Snake. And it's just a love letter in a lot of ways to PlayStation history. It's really cool to see it. I would say, because a lot of people are kind of giving it the Marvel criticism, like, oh, it leans on nostalgia too much, kind of like how people were saying about Deadpool and Wolverine. But I'm like, nostalgia has weight, and like we can't just ignore that. Like, this game stands on its own, but acting like a celebration of PlayStation, who has rich history, is a bad thing is crazy to me, because nothing like it exists. I think of Smash Bros as the closest comparable, which I love too for the same reason. Like, I'm not a competitive Smash player. I'm a casual Smash player, and I love the celebration of all these characters in gaming that have come together, especially in Smash Ultimate. Like, really cool moment there. So yeah, mechanically, they have like a bunch of new systems. Like, you get these long frog arms that you can like throw out and kind of web swing with. There are hero levels where you can play as, I'll just say, iconic PlayStation characters. I'm not going to spoil what, because the internet's not been very responsible with this game, and I'm very disappointed with how this game's been covered, because they're called hero levels, but they're showing off like all of the playable characters that you get to and it changes up the play style. There's one in particular, it's the first one, that's my favorite. I love what they did there because it just fits perfectly with the Astrobot gameplay, and they're like love letters in a different way to these current iconic or sometimes distant past PlayStation exclusives that really define the platform. So that's been getting spoiled. Outfits have been getting spoiled. One in particular, I really didn't want to see that was in my mentions. I was like, man, you can unlock that. Like, I wanted to have that moment for myself. I saw that. I was like, oh. So, yeah, the internet's not been great with this game, which has kind of led to me just doing what I always do, which is like siloing and just like, I'm not going online until I beat this thing. So I'm about, I think, close to the halfway point of Astrobot. I think it's really good. Does Xbox need this? No, I don't think so. Like, they have enough IP to do something like this. But I've always said that, like, let Xbox go make like a platform fighter or something. Like, I think PlayStation tried that and that was really cool with All Stars Battle Royale. I would love to see Xbox try that first. But if they're going to do a 3D platformer, I'm still pretty hard on the idea of like Banjo. I think that's just like the one you got to go for. I think that's got nostalgia packed in it in a different way. And so, yeah, I don't know if Xbox really needs to do this because I don't know if their fans really want a 3D platformer. I know us on the Dukes and our listeners might, but I don't know if everyone's willing to pay and play for that. Especially because I think of like new Super Lucky's Tale and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty decent. And I'm pretty sure that was Xbox One exclusive and it really do crazy well. So,
yeah,
I don't know if the audience is really there for that. Also, think of Recore, which had 3D platforming elements. So I don't know if the audience is. I mean, that game's just not that great, but I don't know if the audience is there. But yeah, but Astrobot's fantastic. Really liking it.
Nice.
The review I was doing that I was talking about last week, I traveled with this game a little bit. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I am not an MVC guy at all. Not because I think it's bad, just I have very little experience with the series outside of MVC 3 on my PS Vita, which I love, by the way. And so this was interesting to kind of experience the history of this storied fighting game franchise, to kind of go from X-Men Children of the Atom all the way to MVC 2. And also, by the way, the bang for your buck in this collection has got to be celebrated a bit. MVC 2, extremely expensive game if you want to get it physically. I'm talking like $200 to $300. The Punisher is here, and if you want to get a good card of that, I've seen it go upwards of $400. These are two games that are extremely expensive that are now packaged in one. And by the way, the Punisher is just like a random 2D side scroller that just exists. I never played it before.
Yes, Dave King knew about it. I was like, I never knew this game existed.
Same.
Like,
and it's great. It's awesome. It's there. It works really well. It's fun. You get two playable characters, one of them, of course, being the Punisher. It's really good. I will say that all of these fighting games have like their own quirks and mild differences. You get to see the transformation in like balancing. Like Children of the Atom will smoke you, no problems at all. Marvel Superheroes will smoke you, no problems at all. Like the AI will just spam you over and over. Like, yeah, you like that ice beam from Iceman? Just like keep firing away over and over and over. And just, I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm playing someone online who's just cheesing me.
Stop cheesing me, bro.
It brought me back to Injustice 1 when that game came out, the online game for that. I was just like getting spammed by Deathstroke online constantly, just like pulling out the assault rifle, shoot. Oh, you're ducking? Shoot low with my pistols, shoot low with my pistols. So I was getting flashbacks to that, and I documented my review. I said, look, I know I'm skill issuing a little bit, but like, yeah, the AI, I'm just warning people who are like me, new hopping in, you're going to get beat up a lot. But as you progress, you start to realize it's less of a you problem. And I say that because even when I'm augmenting the difficulty, I'm like, yeah, I'm still kind of getting beat up bad here. And then you get to MVC2, which is really fine-tuned. You're like, oh, this feels way better. And I'm suddenly competing a lot more. This feels a lot better. Like as you get to MVC 1 and 2, you're like, yeah, this is where things start to click together. It's a much more balanced fighting game. But excellent collection. Really allows you to zip and ping pong between games with ease. Just pause, quit the title. There's the whole collection of games. No real load screens or anything like that. So if you want to jump around all these games, you can. I'll also say that MVC2, I totally get the hype behind it. The music, the style of like 2D on top of 3D, the massive roster, the character combinations. It's fantastic. So that's really good. Nitpick would be you can quick save on any of these games. So if you're in the middle of an arcade run, you can quick save, but you can only quick save for like one of the games. So if I'm in the middle of like the Punisher and then someone wants to play online with MVC2, say I wanted a quick save, go over to MVC2, and I want to stick with it and play like arcade mode MVC2, and I got to get off. I don't want to save my progress there as well. It's going to overwrite the quick save from the Punisher. So there's just one file.
Just one.
I think they need files for each of the games. I think for the sake of being able to switch whenever you want, and not lose progress in one place or the other. These are not story-driven games, but for example, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, does have unique endings for every character you finish with the arcade mode. And I think just being able to save in the middle of that and then go to like, oh, I want to play MVC2 online now and not like, or in arcade, I'm sorry, and not lose progress there would be great. It's like my only complaint. Otherwise, Capcom does a damn fine collection, as they have with my beloved Mega Man Battle Network and with Mega Man X Command Mission Zero Collection. So they do a great collection. I was not too worried about that. They're also doing a Ace Attorney collection. They've done a lot. They're re-releasing Dead Rising in about a week's time. They got a lot going on. So another great collection from Capcom.
Oh, yeah, great one. I want to take you for a ride.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize that was just like the music that just loops over and over in this character select screen. I was like, wow, okay, like I can get down with this jam.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Last one here is Predecessor, the MOBA that just entered 1.0, and we have it right in here from Mac the Knife. I don't know where you heard this, Mac, but he said, Maddie, I heard you played Predecessor. It's so hyped to me as I was a huge fan of the game back when it was Epic's Paragon, which I logged 1 month of game time in, rest in peace. And I also played a good deal of it as Predecessor. What do you think of the game's history, having come from Epic's pre-Fortnite game to being remade multiple times by different studios? Also, have you noticed any toxicity in your matches? I had to stop playing because of the grieving and AFK issues I'd encounter so much, but still love the game. I have all my friends in on this game, so we've been 5 queuing, so we have not had that issue. In fact, my only problem with the game is I talked a bit about Smite 2's alpha, and I was like, I love Smite. Smite's my most played MOBA, but I feel like there's a bit of a balance problem there. Like I definitely think there's something wrong underneath the hood of the game. Just the damage doesn't equal out right at times. And by that, I mean like one thing that's extremely common in Smite 2's meta is tower diving, and not in the fun way. When you dive a tower in a MOBA, it's like the most dangerous thing you can probably do on the map because you are willing to take damage from the tower shooting you, which typically chunks your health because these are like supposed to not be things you run past. Because if you do, then you're in enemy territory and there's no quick way back. And also you got to get to the final objective in their home base. So tower diving is typically like a high risk, high skill, high reward kind of play. And in Smite 2, not only can I tower dive with ease with very like, oops, I accidentally stepped on the tower. I really wasn't paying attention there and just eat 2 shots and not really worry about it. But like people are part of the meta is like early game tower dives, like 5 minutes in you're tower diving. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm sorry. This sucks. Like I don't sign up to MOBAs for the immediate tower dives and that sort of shit. It's bad. And some people will tell me it's a skill issue. My friend was telling me it was a skill issue. I'm like, no. I was like, dude, I think the balancing in this game is super fucked right now. And as someone who's put almost 1,000 hours into Smite, I know when it's working and it's clicking, and this is not it. It's just not there. And so I was like, I'm not dealing with people like diving on my fucking safe space and constantly just bullying me. I'm like, yeah, this is not how a MOBA is supposed to be built. I played
skill issue, bro.
Yeah, I played enough Smite. I played enough League. I played enough Paragon to know where the towers should be in terms of damage. And this isn't it. And it makes the game unfun, especially because the God count is so small now. It's just like I'm not having as much fun as I'd like to. Smite 2 Alpha is a little disappointing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my talents to Predecessor that night when I was all my friends and I were just like, this is not fun. We're like, okay, well, I've reminded them like certain MOBA just hit 1.0 that we did play a lot of, like Mac the Knife wrote in about in those Paragon days. Maybe we should check it out. And so we were like, all right, let's take our talents over there. And oh man, it is good to be back. Oh, this game was the competitor to Smite for me and my friends when it was first known as Paragon. And I was so sad to see it go. And I was especially angry, I'm sure Mac the Knife was as well, when I learned that this game had left for Fortnite. They got shut down because they wanted to go focus the efforts and resources on Fortnite. And it's true that it got remade. I don't know if it's as Paragon, but it got remade twice now. And Predecessor has been the one that's kind of come out as the front runner here. It has very similar champions. And I've been rocking Lieutenant Bellica. She is so good. Like you get to just siphon mana. I mean, it's got the same stuff I love in MOBAs, but I really just think it's the style, the balancing, the team comps. If that all clicks in a MOBA, there's nothing like it. And to me right now, Smite 2 doesn't have that. Predecessor does. And that's what's made my choice so easy. I do wish there was a little bit more of a champion selection in Predecessor, but this is 1.0. They were in early access for a while. They're just getting going. I also think the UI is a little primitive. Like you'll hold the control key and they're like, okay, here's all of your abilities. And they're just like white text labeled on the right side of the screen underneath like a gradient panel. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cheap looking. I'm feeling the limitations there a little bit, but I love the diversity in some of these champs. Like I played as Kalari, and she's got like a double jump and a thrust attack. So you can like jump above walls that are in the jungle that no other character can, and then like dive bomb someone. Like it's really cool. Some of the options you have available to your character. Like I love again that Lieutenant Bellica really attacks the mana pools because it's like, oh, I'm not going to attack you. I'm going to force you to go back and get advantage on the lane because I'm going to take away your mana, and you're going to have to go back to recharge or spend resources on more mana pots. Because of that, I'm going to get ahead in lane. So you get to kind of, in my opinion, strategize a little bit differently, kind of punish differently. They do a really great job. If anyone's looking for a beginner MOBA, I really think this is it. I say that because Predecessor has this thing where, for those who have not played a MOBA, last hitting is really important. So when you're shooting your minions and when you go to get that last hit, killing them isn't enough. There's a difference in the gold you get from when they just die and when you shoot them and you're delivering the final hit. And that's what's called farming, and or at least part of the game of farming. And it's really important for the long game because you get more gold, you get better power creeps, you get to surprise your enemies, and when you get more kills on them, then you start to create that level gap. It's like a cascading effect that really starts with just targeting the minions. Now, some games, like I think League of Legends, I had the most trouble with last hitting on, but it was the most vital lesson I learned in that you're really taking your time to last hit these enemies. You're learning about kiting, these sort of techniques. I think Predecessor teaches you the importance of last hitting because the enemy's health bar will turn red when you're looking at them. And when you shoot them while that health bar is red, that guarantees the last hit. And there's a really crunchy sound effect with it. So it kind of naturally teaches you, like, this is what you want to do. You get more gold by last hitting. Little things like that go a long way. When they open up the game and they're like, pick your role. Instead of what typically happens in MOBAs where they're like jungle, mid lane, solo lane, and they're just roles. You're like, I had a friend who was new to MOBAs playing with us. He's like, what's solo lane? He now understands because when you start up a game in Predecessor, when you pick your role, they show you which lane you're going to be going to. And they actually have, when you jump out of your base, arrows that are pointing like, oh, you're mid lane?
You need to be.
This is where you go. Right. And they keep that up. It's not like an opening match thing. They keep that up. And you can turn it off, I think, but you keep it up. So it's good. Like, it's good for the beginners, but it's also, like, I think very much tuned for the experts. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it a lot. I had that MOBA itch I needed to scratch and will continue to scratch because my friends and I are always looking for games to play together. Nice. I'll just say that, with Smite 2's alpha, kind of like, I was excited at first. I was like, yeah, this is great. And then it just kind of gradually, I just got more and more sour on it. I was like, yeah, Predecessor looking kind of nice. And so I'll be hanging there for a little bit.
That's what's up. I've never played a MOBA before. I'm looking at it. I will say this, not to be disrespectful, but I like the character designs here. I like the character designs.
They look good.
They look good.
First item on the news report, Lord Cognito. Oh, it's a doozy, all right. We're talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro on this here Xbox Pack. See, you can all make your little multi-platform jokes all you want when you're ribbing us, but now we're really taking it seriously. And here we are as a multi-platform podcast to talk about our friends at PlayStation. The PS5 Pro releases for $699.99 or your regional equivalent on November 7th, 2024. The system will sport what Mark Cerny defined as the big three in a presentation this week: in an upgraded GPU, advanced ray tracing, and AI-driven upscaling with the newly introduced PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. The lead architect for the PlayStation 5 Pro also went on to claim that the PS5 Pro Game Boost can apply to more than 8,500 back-compat PS4 games by either stabilizing or improving the performance of said games. Free updates are coming to 13 games in Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon's Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descendant, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which are said to be taking advantage of the hardware fully. Let's open up with Washed as Fuck saying, white, goofy looking, large, expensive, and lacks the basic fundamentals. But that's enough about Daniel Jones. What do you guys think about the PS5 Pro? P.S. Colin, please give us Tyrod back.
Giants fan disrespect. That was wild. Yeah. Yeah, it did land for me.
Interesting, because I was really curious to get your take. You have said before, I'm a hardware guy. I love the new tech. So this not capturing you is pretty alarming. So please get into it.
Because look, I'm the guy that bought the PS4 Pro day one, right? And I was saying, okay, let's mid-generation refresh. I could kind of get down with this in consoles, for the enthusiast, for the guy who's got the bread, who's willing to see the most fidelity. I get it, and there will be an audience for this on some level. Now, my concern is for me. Okay, first of all, shout out to Mark Cerny. I've met him a few times. I've talked to him a bunch. This he's a genius, and he's old Sega, so I got to have love for him. But it's funny because last with the PS4 Pro, when he talks tech, like he gets into it. Like it's almost like tech ASMR. And the microchips and the thing and the AI and the 3. Like he's like it's a thing with him, right? You can tell the passion from this man.
They've done a better job. I think of when the PS4 was first introduced versus now. I'm like, this felt more my speed, if you will.
One of our most viral ILP videos was kind of clouding the ASMR tech of the PS4 Pro when it was revealed, and they let him get too many bars off. They let him go way too long. So this was like, all right, we're gonna have him out there, but we're gonna cut. We're gonna do all these cinematic things because we know he want to get all his bars in. The problem was, here's the major problem. You didn't showcase why we really needed this. Outside of the tech bargain, you didn't have tangible examples. Even when you showed The Last of Us, and they're like, look at the fidelity and it was so minimal. It was so non-noticeable. And what killed them is you didn't have a first-party game to really show that's new, that we haven't seen before, and say, hey, this is fully taking advantage of the PS5 Pro's power. And look at how the fidelity. You're showing us all this old stuff that we played already, and it just didn't come off well to me. And then here's the other thing I noticed is that, look, I'm not going to say disrespect the tech that's in the machine, but like when you start focusing on what is the big three? The ray tracing, the spectral super resolution, and
the GPU.
It's the problem is you're not really showcasing a reason why this is a must-have, in my opinion. Now, granted, there will be some PlayStation enthusiasts. I know people who, it may sell out for what limited capacity they put it out. But people have to remember the PS4 Pro, it only sold like 10%, only made up 10% of their sales. So this to me is the enthusiasm. What I did not like is they also raised the price of the DualSense controllers now all of a sudden. Then you don't include the stand. You don't include the drive. Then you got the nerve to be like 700 at the end. So what that showed me is you're not willing to take no losses on this console generation. And it goes to show me, again, in fairness, Xbox has that, that two terabyte joint that, what was it, like 6 or whatever. So what that showed me, in an era in consoles where prices are supposed to go down as the generation continues, you notice they are not here. The Slim and the PS, that didn't go down, right? Like this was supposed to be the 500 joint if you could pull it, or 6, right? And then you bring down the price of the base PS5 Slim, and then you go, okay, this is what you want to do. So what this showed me, this is some truth to what Xbox is saying in terms of this console generation, the inflation, and as well as the adoption rate. They are not, because of the climate, none of these manufacturers are willing to take any losses. Oh, you're going to pay what this is on face value, manufacturer value. That's what this showed me. And it was a bit of a letdown. It was a bit of a wet fart to me. Like it didn't like they kind of messed up here, and it gave me a little PS3 energy. You know what I mean? Like you kind of slapped that price threw the hand grenade and ran after, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like, bro, 700? Like, again. Oh, and last thing. This is the main thing too. We talk about frame rates and performance and 60 frames, right? No question. I love the focus on that. You say developers want to do that. Fine. But then Digital Foundry done exposed the situation. How you got Hogwarts Legacy still at 30 frames? So that does not bode confidence to me that everything new with Unreal Engine 5 really taxing these consoles. Let's be real, right? That doesn't instill confidence to me that definitively GTA is going to be 60 FPS for you. That's how I look at it. You've got to prove to me in these new games. Don't show me the old stuff that we played and be like, yeah, you could do 60 on that. And a lot of them was already doing 60. You just now Spider-Man, the traffic look a little better. Or the play, like, no, I'm sorry. This was not it. You know, I'm not saying it's not going to do well. I'm not going to say there's no audience for it. But this is why I tell Xbox fans, this is why I was like, if you care about games, you got nothing to worry about. They had no games new. Where's the Ghost of Tsushima 2? Where's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to make me go, oh, I gotta get this joint now. I'm gonna be real with you about it. I left that like, I'm good. And my other concern is their track record with peripherals. Like, I went out there, did PSVR 2, abandoned. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ran out there. I'm not the Portal guy. They're just not speaking to me. That's just where they are with me right now. So, you know, I know people will pick it up. Hopefully it does well. They'll probably sell out the limited capacity or whatever it is they have. But as far as like, I felt Xbox, remember what I told you when we did the Xbox review? I said this whole generation, I feel like these guys are coasting. They're coasting off of name. They're like Apple. If you look at value and you look at what you're getting and frequency of titles, they're not competing in the same way. It's just that Xbox keeps doing stupid mistakes and rakes and foolishness to close the gap. It's like that division leader in baseball where they're losing a couple of games here and there, but you're not taking advantage to catch up on your games back.
It's like the Yankees this year.
Thank you. It's like, bro, there's a lot of opportunity for you to catch these guys with stuff like this. So I'm done ranting. That's where I'm very curious how you feel about it. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's awful. It's not good. It's not good, man. It's very interesting seeing PlayStation in this spot. They've had a rougher year, and I think people do give them credit for. You look at how spectacularly Helldivers 2 collapsed. This is like one of the biggest victories of the year, and you look at the state it's in now, where it's a great game, but like I think PlayStation combined with Arrowhead has just mismanaged that shit down to a whole other level where it's not even really talked about to that much, to that much of a level. Concord speaks for itself. That's the biggest failure in gaming. Like, look, we can talk all day about if we're gonna like measure dicks here. We're looking at, you know, fucking Concord versus Redfall. People actually played Redfall. You know, I will say that Redfall got more life somehow than fucking Concord. So there's that. Now there's this. Like, Astrobot is the kind of glimmer of like a bright spot in a pretty bad year for them. I would also say another bright spot for PlayStation is adding these platinum trophies to these older games. For me personally, I love that they're doing that. I think it's great. But they've had like a low-key shit year. And like, to me, this is, you brought up Apple. I've been saying that for years, that PlayStation, you know, we talked about in our crossover episode. I was like, yeah, PlayStation so badly wants to be this hybrid of Apple and Nintendo. They want the esteemed kind of elite status, if you will, of Nintendo, and they want the hardware approach of Apple. And you even look at the PlayStation blog post and they're like, you can go ahead and work with your PS5 VR, your DualSense Edge, your Pulse headphones, your Pulse whatever. There's like another version of the Pulse headphones. They have their own hardware ecosystem. And things like not including the stand is, I say as someone who's got an iPhone in front of me and an iPad to my right, it is such an Apple-coded move. It's like pulling it right out of the playbook. Like, remember they changed the headphone jack? Remember they changed not including like the charger when you bought a phone or something like that? Like, little things like that, or like, here's the wire but not the brick or some shit like that. Like, just little things like, go ahead, 20 extra bucks right here. Spend fucking $800 on this phone. This was $20, right? Spending $800 on a console, what's $20, right? So for me, I feel so not taken care of. I, over here, have a whole PlayStation 5 collection of games that are physical. I do have some digital games, but they're mostly physical. So let's say I'm like, oh, I actually like what I saw with the PS5 Pro. 700 plus 80 for the disc drive plus 30 to have a stand, which I'm looking at right now I need because otherwise it wouldn't fit in my entertainment center. So I have to spend $810 before tax to get my hands on a PS5 Pro. That's fucking insane, dude. That's insane. They're out of their goddamn minds. The only thing I've seen people try to defend it with is like, well, you know, like, look at the PC market versus the PS5 Pro. And in that sense, I'd be like, okay, sure. But this goes down to, if you're really going to be that gullible, I don't get it. Because what we've seen this generation is a stunning amount of 30 FPS titles, right? We happen to reveal one ourselves this past couple of weeks. There's a stunning amount of these. And I just think it really comes down to one of two baskets it falls into. Developer talent. Some just can't do it. I look at Gotham Knights as a good example. That game should have not been 30 frames as far as I'm concerned. But the tech art behind that clearly was bogging down the performance so badly that game ran like shit. Or it's a choice. There are times they're like, yeah, we want to really push fidelity. I think of Hellblade as an example. Some teams do just want to do straight up fidelity. That's
marketing.
That's the kind of push for them. Interestingly, that Mark Cerny said during this presentation that 3 out of 4 players are doing performance mode. Pretty interesting stat there. But I've seen a lot of people run and be like, well, that's that's like the number one way to play. I'm like, well, that's just one angle of it. Like, I look at the Switch, for example. I'm like, maybe people don't care that much about visuals. But point being is, yeah, I just think when I look at the PS5 Pro, no doubt that the grandfathered in, very hardcore, dedicated PlayStation fans will pick this up because, again, I if you apply that Apple logic to PlayStation, it all just makes sense. It's like, yeah, there are people who buy a new iPhone every year. I don't fucking get it, but they do. And I think this is going to be the same thing here. Like, Colin, I got to say, with all love in my heart, Colin's the fucking perfect example. We're talking in this group chat, and Colin's like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's a moot point. It's going to sell well. I'm buying it anyway. I'm like, there you go.
Target audience.
Yeah, there you go. Target audience. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to buy it anyway. And like, I mean, Colin's the type of guy where he like kind of just says, well, it's going to sell well, so it's okay. And I'm like very different in that regard. I'm like, people will unknowingly get kind of ripped off. In this case, though, again, you look at the PC market. I think for those who want 4K 60 consistently, I could see how you could justify in your head, like, oh, this is a good deal. For me, though, I look at it as like, I'm not seeing enough developers even prioritizing like that kind of experience here. And if all they could put up for a $700 asking price is 13 games in the presentation, and only one of them is unreleased right now, and Assassin's Creed Shadows is sort of like the, hey, this is going to take advantage of the Pro. You've not sold me on shit, brother. Like, I got to know way more than what you've got here. And saying buzzwords like can apply to more than 8,500 back-and-back games, it reminds me a little bit, like, this is the difference where, like, actually, it's bad for me to say this, that Xbox communicated FPS boost way better than PlayStation did with this game boost, because Xbox was like, here's a list of the games that work with FPS boost. And it was a long fucking list. And I look at this here and I'm like, oh, it can do this. So you're selling us on like, if the developer feels like it, which is the same thing that's happening here with the PS5 Pro. If the developer feels like it, you're going to see them take advantage of it. And I hope if PlayStation's smart, they have their third-party partners take advantage of it. If they're really smart, you have Xbox games take advantage of it.
Facts.
Like, if you're really smart. So that's the thing I have an issue with, is people buying into like empty promises. Take it from a fucking Xbox podcast. Don't buy into the empty promises. Like, come on.
No, you're on fire. I mean, and the other thing, you know what I thought was a missed opportunity? Where the hell was Bloodborne at?
I know. Did I say that? Maybe
Bro,
I don't remember.
Like, this was a layup. How you can get that deal done and be like, for all you guys, one of our most beloved franchises that you've been clamoring for 60 frames, that you can't get nowhere. This was the time to drop that out there. And it was just like, again, they had nothing really to showcase the hardware properly. And again, as a person who loves 60 frames per second and performance, I love that he said that, that gamers are trending towards that based on their internal metrics. But to me, this was such a missed opportunity to showcase that hardware with some new games or some new third-party games outside of Assassin's Creed, and also show the tangible difference. The problem that I saw, bro, you could have literally lied to me. Some of them screenshots side by side, I'm like, where the difference be? Like, I'm not.
That Pam picture of like, it's the same picture.
Like, it's the same thing. And then you talk about the ray tracing in Gran Turismo, and I'm like, but here's the problem. Ray tracing is such a resource hog, right? And it's just like, okay, yeah, you're using some of this technology. That looks cool, but like, what percentage of your base is really going to notice this? This is clearly an enthusiast machine. I get it. But I just felt they had so much opportunity to showcase this thing way better. And this fell flat. I'm looking at Xbox. I'm like, man, you guys got it. If you just put out good games and you just do what you're supposed to do, they are ready for the taking. Like, that's how I look. Not to be, console worry, but that's how I feel. I just don't feel that the PlayStation base is getting enough of what they deserve to truly put their mark on this generation. You're coasting off of name brand recognition and prestige and country club stuff. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Where's the first party games at, bro? Like I'm here for the games. Where they at? That's where I look at it.
Yeah, I think Astrobot again is like kind of
true. Fair enough.
like
fair.
I mean, it's a phenomenal game.
A phenomenal game. I take that back. Astrobot is amazing.
Your point still stands, I think, because like, well, you have at the top of the year Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and you have at the butt end of the year Astrobot, and that is a pretty good 1-2 punch for the year. I mean, those are incredible games. But I also I agree with you that there is a level of country club status here. I think the writing was on the wall again. I think I brought up the Apple example again when PlayStation introduced the Portal. And I looked at it, I was like, number one, whoever is leading the systems design on like a shell perspective, fire them. Like, I fire them. I'm sorry. Get them the fuck out, dude. They're doing a horrible job. They're from the consoles to the handhelds. They're blowing it. I think the form factor for that thing is awful. But they charge $200 for like a straight up just PlayStation only streaming machine that until 3 version updates later could not even connect to like something such as public Wi-Fi,
right,
because there was no like built-in keyboard. So you could only play it in your house, which for a very particular person such as myself, I was like, hey, that's kind of useful. All right. Like I can get down with that because I can start the recording here with my Elgato on the computer and go upstairs or go lay on the couch in the other room. Like, great. That works for me. That's not the case for everyone, though, and that's a steep asking price for something like that. So PlayStation's been like ringing their customers' eyes all generation, right? The $10 upgrades when Xbox had smart delivery. There's been a lot of moments where I just feel they kind of escape because they do seem to always have like the kind of ace up their sleeve, like, oh, we just had the worst flop in gaming. We also have the highest review game of the year. Like it's such an amazing back and forth to watch. That I'm not preying on their downfall. It's just amazing to watch them like get out of the grave and then immediately get kicked back because now they have the PS5 Pro.
It was like Concord, Astrobot, PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
in this weird sequence.
It's funny. I was looking at the LSM Reddit and I saw that they actually. It was so amazing to finally see the PlayStation fans posting a similar level Xbox meme of like the cycle of like, we're so back and it's so over. And they were showing those 3 points. I was like, yeah, you guys get it now.
You understand the pain.
Yeah. I was like, welcome to the inconsistent part of the industry. You're starting to see what we've been dealing with. It was so fascinating to watch though. And I just think it boils down to games. That's what a lot of these companies, including Xbox, are missing is that games. Like it goes so far. Like, I think this is a more easy to stomach announcement if you have, it doesn't have to be a brand new announcement, by the way, but like a upcoming game and being like, here's how it uses the PS5 Pro. Because I remember him talking about The Last of Us Part 2 and I was watching it and you mentioned as well, like no differences. Spider-Man 2, I'm like, no differences. Like, I feel like the PS5 has impressed me already in what the base one could pull off. Like the SSD, I felt the most in Spider-Man 2. I know I'm very critical of that game, but like that opening boss fight against Sandman, getting whiplash across the screen, launching yourself back. The data streaming there is just fucking incredible, and how quickly the world is loading and how you fly through it. Like that's the SSD moment right there. Like I know they tried to sell it as like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is, and in a sense it is on a technical level, but for me, the wow factor really came with something like that.
Yeah.
So you have to show that again. Like, oh, look at this is only possible with the Pro. And I do wonder if the best route for a system like this, although they would never do it, I look at what Nintendo did with the new Nintendo 3DS, where they had a couple of games over there that like, hey, they're exclusive over here. Like this system does a couple extra things. And by the way, it wasn't like anything major. So it's like a couple of games are only available here. And a lot of people bought into it because they're like, that's where the games are. And like, that's where the next generation of handheld gaming is. And they went for, including myself. And so I do wonder a bit about those who like if PlayStation were to kind of take that route. I don't think they ever would. I think it's just too high risk of a play, but it would put them in the same spot that the Vita was in, for example.
Yeah.
But I do think that games drive the excitement for these things, and showing your new like $700-800 hardware in the middle of a generation associated with a game as early as 2020. I'm looking at this list here, or like when the generation first began. It's not convincing.
Yeah. And last point to your point is where it really didn't resonate is because a lot of these games already had 60 frames per second modes already on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So it's like show a game that you know didn't hit the target
Mm-hmm.
and then go boom. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. So yeah, this kind of missed opportunity here.
Absolutely. We have this right in that I'll kind of focus on Xbox some more. XFlea says, "Hey Dukes, there's this sentiment that I've kind of seen around the Sony charging not $699 for the Pro with no disk drive, that it's Xbox's fault for not competing hard enough to keep them in check. Do you guys agree with this take or disagree with it? Personally, I get it, but I think it takes away from the conversation of Sony charging these prices by simply blaming the competitor while Nintendo is also in the market competing for your time and dollars. At the end of the day, Sony chooses the prices. In other words, I think that's cope, but overall, what do you guys think? Have a no one told me Apple joined the console market kind of day. Let's go."
Yeah, shout out to XFlea. Is it Xbox's fault for not competing hard enough to keep them in check? I mean, I think it's just different. I'm still going to stand on what I said earlier, which is I just think this is a very strange generation in the sense that I've never seen consoles increase during the course of a generation. This is uncharted territory. This is both sides. You know, Xbox raising prices in Japan. Like that, what it's showing me that maybe there is some truth to the console market right now. Not that no one's not buying consoles, but I feel it's stagnated in terms of what that growth is. And you're still pitching and selling to the same group. And now they're realizing, okay, this cannot be our number one only resource to push our games. Hey, we're going to start putting these games on PC. Hey, we're going to start pushing these things other places, and we're going to put it on cloud and stuff like that. And I think that's what's happening. I think we're at that point of, user base saturation there. And what companies are saying is, bro, we're not taking you ain't getting this for the cheap. We're losing money on this hardware device. You gonna pay what you weigh. We ain't gonna take no loss, and we're gonna get it all on this software. And I think it's an aggressive push. And I think COVID has something to do with that. I think that the inflation has something to do with that. And it's evident as ever. Like when you run out there and you say 700 with your chest out, when you run out there and you say Xbox Series X 2 tera, 600 with your chest out. When you raise the price of Japan and these other regions, right, and you raise the price of a DualSense, you're unapologetic about it. To me, you're not seeing the growth that you need to see, and you have to get this to sustain profitability.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the blaming of Xbox is really strange for the exact reasons you laid out, XFlea, just because you do have Nintendo in the space, but they, as Cog also mentioned, are all competing in very different ways. We've laid it out multiple times, but just again, for posterity's sake, like, Xbox is more in the subscription service and just going full access. PlayStation still kind of doing things the traditional way and slowly embracing PC and more their hardware ecosystem as they're building accessories and peripherals to attach to the PlayStation 5. And then, you look at Nintendo and they just get to exist in their own world because they have IP that are known far and wide, so much so that they have their own like amusement park dedicated to it. So it is the generation where you feel like the biggest split away from the norm for each of them. So I would also say, I don't even know if you can really blame Nintendo. Just PlayStation has such a dedicated audience that they can do this sort of stuff and get away with it. Just like Xbox was happy to move up their subscription prices, and I think they're providing good value there still, but they were also making aggressive financial moves. And, I don't think anyone was really blaming PlayStation for that. It was just Xbox's own situation kind of bringing that into reality, which is we bought Activision. And in PlayStation's case, you could read deep into it and be like, not as an immediate reaction, but like, we just bought a company and launched a game with them. And it's like $100+ million investment, probably including that acquisition. And we got to make some money somewhere else, because you have to remember PlayStation is a much bigger part of Sony than Xbox is a part of Activision. I'm sorry, Microsoft. So there's that too. So they're all existing in their own worlds in one way or another. So I don't really agree with the take that like it's Xbox's fault, not for the traditional reason though. Like it's just, if someone's just like, it's Xbox's fault, they should have tried harder. I'm like, that's stupid. That's just a dumb, smooth-headed kind of take. But if it's more in depth than that, it's like, I really don't think that Xbox is to lay the blame for this one in particular, especially because they're not doing a pro system. They like committed multiple times to like, we're not doing a mid-gen refresh, and I'm glad they're not. I'm glad they're focusing on potentially that handheld as like kind of accessory device alongside a new system. And Xbox could do the funniest fucking thing next year, by the way. or if they just announced new hardware for 2026 and they launch next gen hardware at the same price as the PS5 Pro. I say that because the only thing people I think are really kidding themselves about is like, there's no way I'm paying for a console at that price. Oh, get ready, next generation. Oh, get ready.
Yeah,
you will be paying above $500,000. Absolutely, with tax included. You will be. You think it's be like $600 price tag? No. Welcome to the world of, you're getting closer to that PC build, everyone. You want more power, you want bigger games. I'm telling you, that's the one thing I think people are fooling themselves with is you want the jumps, you're probably going to get them, but it's going to cost. And so Xbox could do something kind of funny if they announce it sooner.
It could get interesting. I'm telling people about that handheld, like don't think you're gonna get that. Yeah. I'm bracing people on that handheld price, especially as a ROG Ally and a ROG Ally X buyer. Those components, bro, and they're gonna cost. And I'm glad you mentioned the decision about not going with a mid-generation refresh for Xbox. And look, I'll be the first to admit, I am the techie guy. I'm the guy that likes to run out and see the new power. But it was the right course. And I tried to tell, because everybody was like, bro, they're going to have the PS5 Pro and, all your games are going to get lapped and look better. And what I told people, I took a page from Sony's playbook. Look at Sony last generation. When the Xbox One X and the Scorpio and you had some third parties and that was great. But what did it ultimately come down to? It came down to the exclusive games that PlayStation had, that regardless of what, you had quality Spider-Man, you had a God of War. It didn't matter that, you had Red Dead over there performing better, but you've got these games. And I keep telling people it's about the games. You got to learn, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's what they got. We talked about this lineup coming up for the rest of the year. It's an amazing lineup. So that's, if you care about games, you're fine. The power stuff is great, and I'm not going to minimize it, but that's the beauty that Xbox has this time around. They actually have quality first-party games that are line up that really sustain them for the next 2 to 3 years. That looks promising.
Yeah, I agree. Any extra thoughts on the PS5 Pro that you want to throw out there?
Not much. It's very interesting. Twitter was on fire. I was like, yo, this is wild crazy right now. What's going on there? They were getting dragged. I didn't expect
I didn't expect the drag either. Like, I immediately was like, I got to talk about this. And I saw
this is the biggest
ton of videos on it, just like being like how ludicrous it was. I was like, okay, wow, I'm surprised there's such a strong, not that no one does push against PlayStation, but in such a concerted way, I'm like, oh, it's I cannot see green attached to this for once. Not because I'm preying on PlayStation's downfall, but just like I'm so used to being like, oh, everyone's mad at Xbox, right? Like,
correct. It was surprising. I was like, oh wow, everyone's upset. Like this is a uniform upset community.
100%. So yeah, we'll see what Apple does next. All right, moving on here. By the way, did not misspeak there. Number 2, Xbox will be attending Tokyo Game Show this year with a broadcast set to take place on September 26th. It is stated that the content from Activision, Xbox, Blizzard, and Bethesda will be shared alongside a lineup of games from third-party partners across Japan and Asia. Cog, your thoughts on this one? What do we think we're going to see here? Xbox is back with Tokyo Game Show, holding their own little event. What do we think here? Does Starfield get any type of information here, right? September 26th, is right in time for Shattered Space. What do we think gets shown off during this?
Well, first, I gotta apologize because I was very hard on them. I was very disrespectful because now, in fairness to me, this was fresh off of the Tango closing. In fairness to me, we had no information that they had a presence at TGS. So at that point, when that right around, I was like, bro, you can't regress on not showing after all the strides you've made the last 2-3 years and the growth you've made by appearing there. So I was angry with them. I was like, this is unacceptable, you know what I'm saying, not to do that. And I was worried, that they had like the cops were worried too. You know what I'm saying? That they were gonna really duck this situation. And we knew coming in that PS5 Pro and PlayStation was gonna have a presence there, right? So I'm like, 30th anniversary, PS5 Pro, man, this looks good. But to see them back and say, no, we are here and we've got stuff to show. So we got the partners. To your question, this would be nice, Bethesda, Shattered Space, Activision Blizzard, all the partnership, getting the Call of Duty stuff out there to let that market know, we are the home of this. As far as what we talked about earlier, this would be a great time for Square to really flex. and show, hey, here you go. It's finally happened. Here's Final Fantasy 16, or here's the Pixel remaster. This would be a great place to do it, right? And we know that their relationship is improved there. I'd like to see what's going on with Sega. I'd like to see what's going on there. And I'm counting on one of my bets, hopefully, to come through. It'd be nice to get that Infinite Wealth or my all or nothing bet now to join the service. It's been enough time.
You're smoking me. I don't even think you need that, bro. My fantasy draft is looking. I'm so glad that we don't have to find Duke Ultimate anymore to do that shit, because I'm so bad at it. Like, at least last year was competitive. This year I'm just like, what the fuck was I on? and like hindsight is not giving me. I have Star Wars Outlaws there. I had Suicide Squad on there. I just bet against all the on all the underdogs to overperform. Because I got like Call of Duty and stuff. I was like, oh shit. All right, so
my boy going through it right now.
Trying to get cute with it, and this is why I don't do fantasy anymore. I get too cute with it. I'm like, this is a bold pick, and I like the idea of a bold pick more than the smart pick.
You went with your heart.
Much of an entertainer.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. But yeah, man. So I really want some, besides just obviously Game Pass announcements, which we expect to happen, I do want to see some really cool, Japanese game. I want to know what's going on with that Swery and game. Does that improve? Do we see some more from that to kind of sway us that? I know it's still early with Kojima, but any information there would be nice. But just fill in the gaps, and also, I know what I want. Just like we talked about Kagami, Path of the Goddess, I want some more unique Japanese games that either you fund or you get to get in your service debut day and date. I want that trend to keep going. I love what they did with Path of the Goddess. So I want to shout them out. Like, I'm glad that they're having a major presence still there. That means a lot to me, because these are the games I love and I support these games. So yeah, I was very happy that they're going to be there.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it. I'm very happy to see it though. When it comes to things I'm hoping to see there, I've already kind of talked a bit about Square Enix already, but I'm really hoping they, that it's been since last December or something like that kind of announcement, that commitment was made. I hope we kind of see something from it at this point, an announcement or confirmation. I almost feel like that's got to be a given, but who knows? This industry surprises you often. So I would say that would be at top of my list. I hope we see the Tales of remastered projects. We saw Tales of Exilia remastered was leaked at one point. Tales of Graces remastered, I think, was also leaked or something like that. There's been a lot of Tales of remasters that have been kind of floating around. I'd like to see more from that general project and see if Xbox can get involved in that. I am trying to think of Japanese games that they have missed out on, because that is typically where a lot of it gets announced. Like, remember Danganronpa, Eye of the Somnium Files. These were games that made their way to Xbox that were announced during the Tokyo Game Show. So I'm trying to think of things that they're missing on. Are they getting Dragon Quest 3? Because I want to check real quick. Dragon Quest 3 is coming to Xbox. Okay, good. So that's good. That would have been another pick of mine. I'd like to see more of that. Might be an interesting Game Pass selection, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
They've done a good job kind of rounding up most of the Japanese support here. So I could see, a lot of times, because they mentioned, we're bringing Xbox, Activision, Bethesda content, that sort of thing. Usually it's confirming we are localizing this game, right? Like, they confirmed that Starfield would be fully in Japanese, and they gave the amount of dialogue that's going to be in the game, that sort of thing. So I could see that being a style of announcement for one of the games that they're doing from each of these companies, just kind of confirming hey, we're supporting Japan here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm not expecting any, massive nuclear level announcements here. I'd be surprised if Xbox showed out with something like that.
Yeah, we shall see.
September 26th, mark the date on your calendar.
Sir, I'm ready.
All right, last bit of news here, Cog. In an announcement on Undead Labs' website, they have revealed that this year finally concludes the support for State of Decay 2, as the team will now be shifting their full focus and resources to State of Decay 3. The final update to State of Decay 2 will be its 38th, and it aims to, quote, fix some long-standing issues, implement additional quality of life improvements, and permanently unlock seasonal or otherwise previously gated content like the winter outfits and the wizard van, end quote. So, Cog, it's finally over. It's finally over. 38 updates across almost 7 years now. It's been quite a journey here for State of Decay 2, but the big question from a lot of Xbox fans is all right, we want to see State of Decay 3. When are you moving on? So it's finally happening. Cog, I know you've been asking for this for a while. By the way, no disrespect to State of Decay 2. We both like the game a lot. But it's time to move on to the third entry, I would say. So, Cog, your thoughts on this?
It's dead. It's finally dead. No disrespect, but we wanted you out of here a long time ago, bro. Like, I hate to do it to them. Like, normally we'd be like, we are so amazed by the support the game's getting. Like, bro, I could not wait for this game to die. Will you stop updating this game? Please focus on the new. And now that we finally got the showcase and we finally saw it, and a new iteration of it, you see that they're working on it. Yes, please. I want the new thing so bad. So, it was very admirable that you guys supported so long, but let's get this UE5 goodness. Let's get this new State of Decay popping. This is what I'm the most excited for, bro. I want the new, and I'm a huge fan of this series. So yeah, this is good. They utilize it by Obsidian Tech. I'm pumped. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what comes of this game. I thought it showed out on a graphical level pretty good with what limited gameplay we got from it. But yeah, I'm excited to see finally them move on, because I'm like, what was the holdup at this point? Like, this has been announced for 4 years at this moment, like or 3. Like, it's been in that range where it's very perplexing to me why they hung on this long, other than they just had like misdirection on where they wanted to go with it. Because now they have 4 or 5 teams supporting them doing this. And so now they finally get like a little bit of like, maybe they got direction, momentum, and they're like, we can stop supporting this and move on to State of Decay 3. So it's good. This
was the studio that I was the most worried about in terms of mismanagement, internal turmoil, directors leaving. That this was the studio I was worried about. So it's good to see, okay, we're getting some clarity here.
Yeah, page has been turned, and it's good news indeed. So we'll track State of Decay and see how it evolves over time.
Yeah.
All right, Cog, almost done here. Game Pass pick of the week. You have the selection, sir.
Yeah, now this may be apologies to the Realm of the Dukes if this was already said, but I did want to shout this game back out. I've got my Double Fine shirt on.
I was wondering what the shirt was this week. There we go.
We got to go Double Fine, man. And this is the reason. And again, this is no shot at Astrobot or anything like that, but it really made me say, like, because I know the talk was like, yo, Xbox needs something like that, right? And of course, we're always about new platforms and stuff like that, but we gotta give some love back to Psychonauts too, man. Maddie, you were a champion of the game, and I did go a chance to go back to it recently, and this is an amazing game. And the reason I want to get back to it is because Double Fine, they made a banger. This game got dark. This game went to very sensitive places, and one particular level to me was like, the alcoholism level. You go into the Bob's brain. There was like a like dealing with inner demons. The PSI, the King Sensorium, which a brain separated from its body. And what I love about this game is the trust and respect to go into someone's mind, right? And establish that. The platforming was great. This game really didn't get the love it was supposed to get, in my opinion. And it was truly fantastic. And it really gives me, like, we talk about In Exile as one of those, bro, can't wait to see what they're going to do. Like, to me, In Exile and Double Fine are such high quality studios that I cannot wait to see what their next iteration is. And we now know with In Exile is Clockwork Revolution, right? But I am dying to know. I've never met Tim Schafer. I had 2 opportunities. I passed them. We missed each other. I've never talked to this man. And I would love to pick his brain. I know they got the documentary and stuff going on, but I got to give Psychonauts 2 because I know we're in an era of, well, PlayStation did this and Xbox needs to do. And it's like, no, bro, there's one here. And you guys got to give it a true shot. There's a lot of people who have not played this game. And I really want. So I fired it back up. And yeah, man, it's so much fun. Raz and the crew and the Psychonauts. The humor is hilarious. The art style is hilarious. It really is a gem of a game, and I'm dying to know what Double Fine does next. So salute to Double Fine. I wanted to give some light on you. I know right now, no disrespect to the bot. The Astro bot is out here. He moving, he's shaking, he's doing. It's a love letter to PlayStation. I'm not being disrespectful, but I just want the Xbox community. There's a game that y'all didn't play. Just give that bad boy a shot and really fire it up. Psychonauts
Yeah,
2.
it's honestly a good call out because when we had that question earlier in the show about like, should Xbox do this? I was like, no, just go do Banjo. But that's a really good point that if you do want that Xbox friendly 3D platformer, I mean, Psychonauts 2, I think you and I have both raved about since it came out in 2021. It was still one of my favorite games of the generation. Like, I just think it was really good shit. Like, it was just very
Platformer.
thoughtful, very much a bigger game than I expected. Good boss fights. Yeah, it's just top to bottom, really excellent game. So good pick here for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Last question of the show is going my way here. It comes from Mike Poe, who writes, Gentlemen Dukes, this is part PSA and part question for Maddie. I'm one of the dozen people that are trying to build a physical collection for the Xbox Series generation. My PSA is that Xbox physical buyers should be aware that there is a disturbing trend in physical versions of big games becoming hard to find at MSRP from conventional retailers. I recently went to look for Persona 3 Reload physically, and the Xbox version is just out of stock. So, Maddie, I was curious, are you trying to purchase physical versions of Xbox Series games, or have you made the rational decision to abandon physical Xbox games this generation? Thanks to have a Tales of Graces remaster is only available physically on Switch and PS5, even though it's also coming to Xbox kind of day. Thank you for writing in, Mike. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't really collect physically for Xbox as often. There's times where games just come out and they're available only digitally on Xbox, so I'll buy them physically on, say, PlayStation or Switch. I think that was the case for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I played it on PC for review, but it came out physically on PS5, and so I bought it there. There's sometimes the issue with like certain exclusives. Like I'm not happy that I have Starfield, I put in quotes physical, but it's like one of those like data discs that they have that has like the code on it. It's a really cool collectible, but there's no disc, there's no hard copy. And they kind of soured on me. I should say I soured on them with Halo Infinite and kind of these half-baked physical copies that I'm just buying pretty much a CD key physically and installing the rest online. Not that PlayStation does it better every single time, but Xbox is kind of like, I've talked about it multiple times. They're the worst when it comes to like DRM and always online stuff. And for me, I buy physically to avoid that sort of stuff because I'm just, I guess, weird like that. But I do prioritize Switch first because they are the most traditional in how they allow you to play your games offline without updates. There's a whole Twitter account called, I think, Do You Need to Be Online to Play It? And it's a great account. And they kind of cover all these different games. And I recommend people follow them and check them out. But, for me, it's Nintendo typically first, because if I can get a game on Switch and the port isn't abysmal, then excellent. That's where I'm going to go because I can access those games offline. And then PlayStation afterwards, in most cases. Sometimes I will go Xbox. It kind of depends on the game. But I've realized that a lot of my physical Xbox collection are Xbox One games I really love, like Rise, Son of Rome, Sunset Overdrive, like games I really adore. And for the current generation of games, it's been titles that I think like I got Marvel Midnight Suns physically. I was like, all right, like I'm not super attached to this game. That's not how I typically collect games. So yeah, Xbox kind of I don't know, man. Like I like collecting for 360 and original Xbox a ton. They're some of my favorite systems to collect for, especially the original Xbox. The original Xbox, it's like a treasure trove of just weird, crazy, Sega-inspired games. And you'll just find so many gems. So many. Like, just look up any Xbox exclusive that was original Xbox exclusive. It's had so many different ones. No two games are the same. This is like one of my favorite systems to collect for, but not for the newer entries, really. I just don't feel like I'm making a good purchasing decision when I put my money down that like, oh, I'll be able to access this, or oh, I won't need to patch this game to access this. Like, I know as we go increasingly more online, it sounds sillier and sillier, but I think as games are getting stripped away and removed from us and taken off of market, and there's licensing deals and things happening behind closed doors, like I don't think any of us expected at any point in time for Konami to take down the MGS HD collection. And it happened. I was like, that is the last thing I know there are historical videos in there. You have that immediate moment of it clicking, going, right. Okay. Makes sense. But when I'm playing it, I'm not really thinking of that. And I don't want to be looking over my shoulder when I put my money down in these games. So that's kind of how I approach things. To answer your question in a short manner, though, yeah, I don't really buy physical for Xbox often. I mean, I love my Xbox for Game Pass, and that's put my money where my mouth is, literally, I guess, on that. But yeah, I'll buy stuff digitally very rarely, honestly. And the other factor is, and I gotta keep it real, LSM audience.
Oh,
Xbox kind of achievements don't really do it for me anymore. I like to do the platinum if I'm going. And so if I think to myself, oh, I might get the platinum here, that also will sometimes push me from Nintendo PlayStation.
That's huge.
And
That's
I mean,
huge.
that's why I'm saying if Xbox got their own platinum trophy equivalent, that
Mm,
would change up in a heartbeat. You got my word on it. That would change up in a fucking
mm.
heartbeat. You combine that with a handheld. But these are the metagame things that I bought into when I was younger, and I'm not a avid trophy hunter like, say, Colin, but I am a trophy hunter enough and achievement hunter enough to be like, this is something still important to me. And you haven't
Yes.
given me that value outside of like the number game and the diamond achievements where like PlayStation's got the platinum. And that's always worked for
Real.
me. I rediscovered a little bit of that love when I went for Astro's Playroom. I was like, yeah, this is fun to do, man. Like
That's dope.
these are that kind of ultimate carrot at the end of the stick moment.
Yes.
It's just good stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach buying things physically now.
I'm glad you said that because it is important, and you know we got to stay on. We got to keep the boot on Xbox Next with that. Like, it's inexcusable. You created this. You are the lane for achievements that inspired them to do trophies, and then they took it to the next level with platinum, and you still don't have an equivalent.
Well, the other thing is where PlayStation's lapping them is now they're doing retro trophies. Like, oh, here's a port of this is a horrible example because no one really likes this game. It's Secret Agent Clank and has a
Yes.
platinum trophy list. And I'm like, that is a big deal too. Like, dude, imagine
Oh,
my tangible excitement on this show if I was like, yo, Death Row is back compat and they added achievements.
let's go.
Like, it's a huge
deal.
So I just want Xbox. Now Xbox has, in my opinion, to catch up in two areas. They've been lapped so much. It's like, yeah, if I'm a trophy hunter, especially nowadays, like PlayStation fans are feasting in that regard. Big time.
Absolutely. And it builds that attachment and the love to the ecosystem. It builds the attachment to the franchise. And I'm like you, I'm out of the days of trend chasing and catching every single one. But you know me, I love hard, right? So when it's something you love, you gonna go in. Like if they had the Konetsugami joint, or they'd be like, yo, you go back to OG Xbox and we giving you, you know what I'm saying, KOTOR, and you know what I'm saying? Like you go back to some back compat, we giving you new it. Bruh, that's how you do it. So it's just like, what is the holdup? Why is this taking so long? You keep saying, yeah, we hear you, but we haven't seen any tangible reason why you haven't done this yet. So I agree, missed opportunity. And to your point with the digital, I completely agree. Like I said, I know what I got into when I slept with this person. Like you know what you got into. They are the Game Pass, you know, digital thing. And I'm like, yeah, but one thing I have to admit, like what you said, I'm looking at, you know, Starfield right now, right? You get it, and you know, this is cool, but this ain't a disc. This is not a disc.
Yeah.
This is, you just gave me a marketplace code to do something, and that part I get it for the physical owners.
That's the thing is I try to be as environmentally conscious as I can be. I'm not perfect with it, but for me, like buying just a case with a code in it is such a fucking waste of resources and money. Not for me personally, but also just me taking this crap off the shelf and then restocking it. I'm not saying I have to, everyone who listens has to be perfect and ethical, but just like, holy shit, man. Like, it just feels like such a waste to go. Same thing with Nintendo. When I see a picture of a Nintendo, like when I'm buying Switch games and I see that like includes a download code or you have to be online. Nope. Never. Put that shit on the cartridge next time and I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like, you lost my money there. So it's a huge deal for me. So I'm very picky. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, I know I run an Xbox show with Kai, but I say I'm very platform agnostic. It's like, you know, I shape shift depending on where, you know, the games are and how it's being handled. It's like Astrobot. When I saw that poster, I was like, no doubt I'm getting the fucking physical copy for that. I'll wait to play that game if I have to. So yeah, it's little things like that go a really long way for me. I know it's not common for the average consumer, but yeah, dude, like this stuff matters. And so sometimes Nintendo's doing it really well. Sometimes PlayStation's doing it well. I will just say Xbox does it consistently the least well. And I would like for them to get that right. And there are things digitally they can do well. Like, again, I talk about those retro achievements. If they figured out retro achievements, bro, that's a huge deal. Because like right now, for example, you brought up KOTOR. KOTOR is not on PlayStation. It's so funny. They have the remake, but KOTOR is not on PlayStation. And the port is only on Switch, which I've never understood, ever. So there's no like platinum for this game, which kind of hurts me because I would like to get a KOTOR platinum or 100% achievements or whatever it may be at some point in time. But like if Xbox went in and said like, yo, we added achievements to like these two old games, I'd be like, man, bro, you don't have to go that hard. Like,
bro,
you know,
that's how you do it.
This is what I talk about with goodwill.
Yes.
Not that PlayStation's an expert at building that right now by any stretch. I'm just saying though, these little little victories like this go a long way in keeping you in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's what I said about gamers. Sometimes it's not about the financial ramification of a move, even though it may cost a little bit. It's about the gamer sensibility that adds and feeds your ecosystem, that feeds your base to say, hey, this is where we want to be. We don't want to leave. That's what gets a loyal base, right? You know, you're absolutely right. 100%.
Yeah. So there we have it, Cog. That's the status on collecting games on Xbox. Wrap things up, sir. What are we thinking for the hashtag this week?
I mean, we got options. We got, we can keep it DD Pro.
That's a good one. Yeah.
We got that. Or what else? Yeah, that was the top one, but as far as stories, but yeah, some other good news items, What you thinking?
I like DD Pro.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little jab. Love that.
Well,
Throwing some bows out here.
It's good the rakes go other ways every once in a while. we used to the rakes hitting us in the forehead a bunch of times. It is kind of interesting to see what happens.
So thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. If you want to fire away with some feedback, you can find us on Twitter. I am at G27Status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Use the hashtag DDPro. Let us know your thoughts. If you don't use social media, that's cool. Use the hashtag in the comments down below, DDPro. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Cog, it's been absolutely wonderful doing this with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week for episode 194 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. And until then, take excellent care of yourselves and peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.